It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
Welcome to another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, and Bill Cornwell. Happy to have you along as the postseason is not just underway, it's in full swing. And we now know all 24 girls teams that will be in Charleston in the Girls State Tournament next week. And during this program, we expect to be able to give you, we've already got all the final scores for tonight.
Yeah.
And talk about efficient.
That's amazing.
We're just an hour and a half since a lot of those games tipped off. So great job, everyone out there tonight, also by our score crew. But before the end of the show, and literally at any time now, we're keeping an eye out for them to be released. We should have the AA girls basketball seedings, brackets, matchup set. So we'll check on those. We'll keep going with those as we go on throughout the night and keep you abreast of the situation there. Coach Rick Marone not with us tonight. That's because his game, his girls were scheduled to play Polka in a Region 4 AA co-championship game last night. It was postponed until tonight because they had 4 inches of snow and no power at Tulsa High School yesterday. And that created a let me just say, I'm in the midst of 24 hours of a technological nightmare, which I will explain at some point throughout the program as well, just to share some of the fun stories from behind the scenes of radio broadcasting with you guys. But, Joe, I mean, we've got games that were decided in free throws and basically with less than a second remaining to decide a sectional champion in boys. We had 2 of the top single-A boys teams doing battle in a sectional final, and some huge numbers put up by individuals in that game. We've got storylines up on storylines, and 3 hours might not be enough to get it all in.
I was going to say, we could probably go all night long, So I'll tell you what, it's crazy. You and I were talking right before we went on the air. It's March Madness, and anything can happen. And looking at the scoreboard and some of the things that's happened throughout the course of the evening, and last night, it's happening.
And Bill Cornwell, before we get to this scoreboard, something also of important to note. And this is part of sport. It's part of the postseason. Somebody wins, somebody loses. It can be the agony of defeat and the joy and the thrill of victory go hand in hand this time of year. And basketball can break your heart, but at the same time, it can also be very rewarding.
Oh, I tell you, we saw it on the college level 2 times involving the 2 same schools last night. Just 2 blocks away from where we are sitting. Derek Jean hits a 50-footer at the buzzer, and Louisiana Tech beats Marshall in a big Conference USA game by 397-94. But those 2 teams play in Ruston, Louisiana last night. Narisha Victor from Marshall hits a little 15-footer in the lane with 1.1 seconds left, and the Marshall women get that buzzer beater. So, we saw it on the college level. We're going to see it throughout this next week with championship week in college play. And, man, we're going to see it over the next 2 weeks, especially down in Charleston with the girls' tournament next week, boys' tournament coming up in a couple of weeks.
And there was also a situation where earlier this week, and this is a play that's gone viral, and we definitely hope to be able to talk about this. I just want to tease this real fast. There was a team that was down by 4 with 3 seconds left, and they won the basketball game.
That's amazing.
It's just unbelievable. This is postseason. This is what it's all about.
That shows you nothing's impossible.
Absolutely.
Never give up.
What's the old saying from We Are Marshall? Play till the whistle blows and play till the horn blows, and all that is very true. We know you want scores. All final scores are in tonight. There weren't all that many because it's the postseason. I'll knock out your first scoreboard update. Looking for scores? Look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. Weather postponed 2 girls' games from last night. They were played tonight. They were the final 2 Class AA regional co-championship games. In Region 3, it was Wyoming East defeating Pikeview 62-34. The Lady Warriors held Pikeview to just 5 points in the first half. Wyoming East 20-2 and heading to Charleston. Also heading to Charleston will be Coach Rick Marone and the Tulsa Lady Rebels, who defeat Polka tonight at Rebel Arena 63-37 in the AA Region 4 Co-Championship. Those seedings have not been released just yet in Class AA. We'll get them to you as soon as we get them. We'll also go over the AAA and Single A matchups in a couple of moments. First, let's go to the boys scoreboard. Again, these are all sectional games. Many of these are sectional finals. So winner is going to advance and play a home game in the regional round next week. Loser will advance and play a road game next week. Let's start in Class Single A and what may have been the game of the night. Class A, Region 1, Section 1. Magnolia defeats Wheeling Central 78-74. Magnolia 20-2. Wheeling Central 21-2. And the Maroon Knights are going to be 21-2 and playing a road regional game. Mercy. All right. But Preston Boswell scores 51 points in that game for Magnolia. Chase Harler, the WVU commit, 41 in the loss for Wheeling Central. Like I said, some major performances tonight. Also in Class A, in Region 2, Section 2, Pendleton County defeats Pocahontas County 61-57. Class A, Region 3, Section 1, it was Tug Valley 57, Van 32. Also in Region 3, Section 2, Fayetteville beats Midland Trail 74-54. So Midland Trail will travel to Tug Valley. Van will travel to Fayetteville next Wednesday night. Class A, Region 4, Section 1, Parkersburg Catholic defeats Doddridge County 57-50. Parkersburg Catholic was the 4 seed in that sectional at 13-11. They cut down the nets tonight as sectional champs. But Doddridge County, an outstanding story that we'll talk about later on tonight as well. In Class AA, Region 1, Section 1, it was Fairmont Senior 89, East Fairmont 46. And in Region 1, Section 2, Ravenswood defeats Webster County by a final of 57-40. So Webster County goes to Fairmont Senior. East Fairmont goes to Ravenswood next Thursday night. Region 2, Section 1, Kaiser wins the Mineral County Bowl to beat Frankfort 57-56. Kaiser scores the last 4 points of that game. So they erase a 3-point deficit and come from behind and win. Bridgeport wins Class AA Region 2, Section 2 with a 53-51 win over Robert C. Byrd. So it will be RCB visiting Kaiser, Frankfort visiting Bridgeport in the regional final. In AA Region 4, Section 1, Poca defeats Sissonville tonight, 66-39. And in Region 4, Section 2, Chapmanville Regional, 2 free throws with a tenth of a second left to defeat Scott tonight, 38-36. We'll have to finally call that one in just a moment for you to hear as well. So next week it will be Sissonville at Chapmanville Regional, and it will be Scott at Poca. Class AAA Region 1, Section 1, Parkersburg South beats Parkersburg 69-55. Region 1, Section 2, Morgantown remains undefeated with a 65-49 win over crosstown rival University. So Parkersburg South will host University. Parkersburg will travel to Morgantown next Tuesday. AAA Region 2, Section 1, Martinsburg beats Musselman 62-55. Region 2, Section 2, Lewis County beats Hampshire 63-51. Musselman will travel to Lewis County. Hampshire will travel to Martinsburg in next Tuesday's regional round. Region 3, Section 1, Capital defeats Ripley 69-59. The Vikings had pulled an upset earlier this week, though, in meeting South Charleston. So it will be Capital, a home game against the loser of tomorrow's Woodrow Wilson Greenbrier East game. The winner of that game will host Ripley next Tuesday. And in Region 4, Section 1, Hurricane beats Winfield 47-35. Huntington beats Logan 71-52 in Region 4, Section 2. So you've got Winfield at Huntington, Logan at Hurricane in the regional co-finals next week in Class AAA. And that is your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. Again, some games for tomorrow too. Single A, you've got St. Joe and Charleston Catholic, and in Double A, Wyoming East and West Side. Wow.
No big surprises tonight in the boys' games. I think the surprises occurred earlier, including that big Ripley upset of South Charleston.
Lots to talk about tonight. We'll get through it throughout the program. Again, we'll give you the girls State tournament matchups in just a moment. But first, I want to go to Bill Nestor, WPDX, Robert C. Byrd Flying Eagles fall tonight. He is the voice of Flying Eagles. And Bill, Robert C. Byrd, Bridgeport 3 lived up to the hype. Both teams have won by double figures in the regular season. This game, the tight game everyone expected it to be, but Bridgeport pulls it out in the end.
You know what, guys, they always say loser leaves town, and I guess sometimes that's a bad thing. For RCB, though, they get a chance to play another day, if you will. Of course, heading on the road is not what they want to do, but facing a very tough Bridgeport team, it's a very tough place to play. And Bridgeport, matter of fact, guys, they sold 1,000 tickets to the game, opened up the doors at 5:30, and I mean to tell you, there was a line a mile long at about 5:10 when I got to the game. So definitely a lot of excitement around the game, and it lived up to its hype. Seesaw affair, back and forth. Both teams traded leads, and Robert C. Byrd had the 1-point advantage here down the stretch, but a deep, late three with about 5 seconds on the clock from Logan Smith from Bridgeport. RCB had an opportunity to get a shot off. They called a timeout. Got an open look, or not really open, I should say, kind of a contested look at the three-point line for Dante Spees. It fell just left, and that was into the ball game, guys. But, yeah, a very exciting game. Really, it's what playoff action is all about, and somebody hates to see anybody lose this one, but fortunately enough, both teams, they crank it back up next week with a chance to go to Charleston.
Well, Bill, can we put you on hold for just a second, because we just got some breaking news in here. The AA girls seats just released, so we'll put you on hold. We'll be right back with you, and let's go over the AA girls basketball seeds. These are just out, fresh off the press. The number 1 seed is Wyoming East, and they will take on the number 8 seed Tulsa Lady Rebels next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. The number 2 seed is Lincoln at 24-1. The Cougars will face number 7 seed Grafton at 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. The number 3 seed is Fairmont Senior. The Polar Bears will take on number 6 seed North Marion in the opening game of the girls' state tournament Wednesday morning at 9:30. And the number 4 seed, and quite frankly, guys, I think severely underseeded, is Sissonville. The reigning state champs are 23-2 and seeded number 4. They'll play number 5 seed Summers County, who is 22-2. So your 4-5 matchup has teams that have a combined record of 45-4. And those two teams will meet in the nightcap Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. So again, 1 seed Wyoming East against 8 seed Tulsa, 2 seed Lincoln against number 7 Grafton, number 3 Fairmont Senior against number 6 North Marion, and number 4 Sissonville against number 5 Summers County in the girls' state tournament next week. That's hot off the press. We got that to you less than 2 minutes after it was released. So we go back to Bill Nestor now. Again, Robert C. Byrd's boys fall in the sectional final tonight to Bridgeport. And Bill, you mentioned it though, and we appreciate you hanging with us there. That literally just came in. We wanted to get that out there as fast as we could. But the RCB boys, though, again, you mentioned get another opportunity, and they have to go on the road, have to go to Kaiser. Not an easy trip across. Well, it's a little bit easier now, I guess, with Corridor H, but still, those two programs going to do battle next week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this matchup. Of course, both teams have players that were involved in the football matchup this year between these two teams. So kind of excited to get these guys back into it and see what happens. But yeah, you look at this contest tonight, guys, only one double-figure score for each team. Dante Spees had 21 for RCB, 21 earlier this week against Grafton. And then for the Indians, Nick Greeley, 26 points in the Indians side of things. So those two guys really stepped up for each team and played well. So as we just talked about, Bridgeport wins that championship, and they're going to host while RCB hits the road. But, both teams with an opportunity to try to punch their ticket to Charleston next week.
You mentioned the atmosphere. You mentioned the crowd, and this is something that I've come across here. Different areas, every section gets the opportunity to decide how to operate its sectional tournament. Some choose host sites, some choose neutral sites. In the case of Bridgeport, Robert C. Byrd in that section, has the crowd support almost outgrown the home gymnasiums there?
Well, I think it has on the Bridgeport side of things. RCB's got a newer gymnasium that holds a lot more fans, and so it obviously it's kind of a nicer venue from that regard. But every team will tell you there's no place like home, and for Bridgeport, and financially they've got a lot of backing there. Don't really need the money from a gate, so to speak. And you've got an opportunity to host at home and gives you the best chance to win, and that's what they went with. And you look at it. In the past, there were several years when the sectionals were at a neutral site. A couple times at Lincoln High School and a couple times at Salem International. Some different venues for these kind of clashes. But really, ultimately, in the last several years, it's been the higher seeded hosts, and it definitely is a big advantage for the host team. And only selling 1,000 tickets, I think it was a good move by the administration of Bridgeport, because it was crowded, jam-packed, but it wasn't a hazard. We've seen a couple games in this series, guys, where you've got people hanging off the rafters, so to speak, just to try to get a look at this contest. So, it really did a good job with that and monitoring it. But I think really you look at a neutral site, the people that are hurt the most in this situation, guys, the fans who wanted to come to this and see it, that might have been turned away because they couldn't get in. That's who's really hurt by it. But ultimately, Bridgeport, to their credit, earned the number 1 seed. Had a fantastic regular season, edged out RCB for that opportunity, and I think they felt like they wanted to keep it there and not give it up. And it paid off for them this evening, that's for sure.
Hey, Bill, Joe Linville here. Hey, you and I were talking, and it's been a few seasons ago, and you were talking about the community supporting RCB because it was a merger school. I knew, at the time you were, a little frustrated. Is the community starting to step up a little more since these sports programs have been doing so well?
Well, Joe, first of all, great talking with you. I think that what's happened in this situation is a little bit more support, but not near as much as warranted. And I think it's kind of a sad situation. When you look at the regular season, RCB hosting about 10 games per year in basketball, you're going to see the gymnasium roughly about half full, except for the contest with Bridgeport and maybe another game or two sprinkled in if you bring a big name in. But the average Big Ten game, the attendance, it's lacking. The support, same way with football, is the same way. And, the administration works really hard at RCB to promote the school and the teams and the players all alike. But it just seems like it's been a slow process for the community to accept it. You're talking about 2 schools, WI High School and RW High School, that were very successful in their own rights. But just coming together to be able to support this team and these teams and these players, it's been a tough road to host. So it's gotten a little better since we talked, Joe, but not near as much as it needs to be.
Bill Nestor, WPDX Radio. Robert C. Byrd falls in the boys sectional final, 53-51 to Bridgeport tonight. RCB next Thursday night. You'll make the trip to Kaiser, and we look forward to hearing from you about that one Friday. And potentially, if Robert C. Byrd can get the win on the road, Kaiser's 13-10. I know that's a matchup that's a very winnable one for RCB, but also should be a good ball game because when you go on the road, you never know. But next Friday night, perhaps we can talk either about this game or about the AA seedings or both, perhaps.
That sounds great. Look forward to it, guys. Always love talking with you. Thanks for having me on. Have a great rest of the show and a great weekend as well.
Hey, always appreciate it. That's Bill Nestor, WPDX, and a good friend of the program as well. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Mark Hatcher. He's the son of Logan head coach Alan Hatcher. That's another storyline that we haven't been able to touch on at this point, but we'll talk with him when we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. And thanks to everyone that has sent us all the game reschedules. You can send your game reschedules by text, tweets, and emails. We appreciate you being part of all the people out there updating us on all the rescheduled games throughout the Mountain State. Send your rescheduled games via Twitter. Send it to @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can also text us 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. And you can send us an email. Email scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. Go to our website and check it out. Find out how you can connect with the show. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Christina Fox @KFox_Bravado, Traquan Gibson, Lucas Haynes @Luda304, Coach Wiley @Alex1967. Thanks for following us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:21 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, and Bill Cornwell with you. You can always check out the website, basketballnight.com. That's got the matchups for the girls basketball postseason in the state tournament. They're all together. We'll talk about that much more in depth as we go along. The AA girls seedings were just released. We had them just moments ago, and they'll be up on the site here any moment now. Actually, they're already there. That's incredible, guys. The guys in the back are just they're
doing a great job. You know, you were giving them. I went to the WVSSAC website, and they still weren't posted there yet. So.
Tell you what, those two AA games that went on tonight on the girls' side probably had quite an audience. People either listening online or just paying attention to scores all around
Watching
the state
Twitter.
because everybody in the AA part of the tournament was wanting to know who the heck we got a plan for.
Right, and it turns out that's the 1-8 matchup,
Yeah.
the two winners, ironically. And again, Sissonville, top 4 scorers back from last year's state tournament team, hasn't lost since December, 23-2, lost one game in state, and they're the number 4 seed in AA. Come on, guys. All right.
That's crazy.
Like Chris Carter there. Come on, man. But, boys basketball tonight, a lot of sectional championship games. One of them was Huntington defeating Logan 71-52. Logan had beaten Spring Valley in boys earlier this week. And both games, Logan played without its head coach, Alan Hatcher. He had a medical issue that did not allow him to be there. Mark Hatcher is his son. He's also the former head coach of the Logan Wildcats, kind enough to join us on the phone tonight. And Mark, we don't have any of the facts right in front of us, so we just wanted to talk with you, see what you would be able to say. First off, how's your dad doing?
Hey, he's doing pretty good tonight. He's, of course, he's upset that they lost, but he is still excited that they have a chance to go to the state tournament, next week. Of course, in our family, basketball sometimes comes before everything, health included. And he's had a tough week. It's the first time in 40-some years that he hasn't got the coach in the postseason, and so it's been really difficult. And his quote all day long today, or his saying all day long, was, you go through all season, and as high school coaches, you guys are familiar with that. It's the tournament's really what you play for. It's the fun, it's the excitement part of it, and then he said to coach all year long, and come tournament time, and now I can't get the coach.
Wow.
But it's worked out good. I mean, in a lot of ways, he had passed out in the game a couple of weeks ago at Wyoming East, and they had a great staff there. Dr. Mascari was there from Wyoming East. His sons all played for Wyoming East, and thought everything was going to be okay. Ran some tests. He got dizzy again today of the Spring Valley game, and my wife is actually a school nurse over at Logan High, and called the ambulance for him, and I rushed over there, and tonight we found out after a heart catheterization he's going to have triple bypass surgery in the next couple of days. So his season is done, and and then hopefully everything will be well. This is Kevin Gertz, Roger Gertz, two really successful coaches at Logan that both had open heart surgeries, and they've talked to him tonight. And so he he's feeling a little better. Again, the loss to Huntington is tough, but looking forward to his team being able to play against Hurricane.
Marcus, Bill Cornwell, and give a lot of credit to Coach Elkins, who took over for your dad. I mean, kudos to him. He did a great job of keeping your former team there together, Logan, on the Wednesday night against Spring Valley. Because Spring Valley, that was a back and forth game late, and they held it together. Of course, tonight Huntington. I mean, what can you say? One of the best in the state, but still, credit to Coach Elkins for what he's done.
Oh, he's done a great job. I mean, Coach Elkins has been around a long time, family friend before coaching friends, to be honest with you, with me and my father, and was a great addition to the Logan staff this year, and he's done a great job. And some of the other assistant coaches on that team have stepped up too, Brandon Browning, the Fuji Williams, and Hank Bowen on the side. They all do a good job of getting the game plan. And they were prepared. I mean, they had went through everything on Wednesday. They continued to do the pregame meals and do the whole workout after school. They went over a little bit with the kids before they left for Spring Valley. And I think we've played Spring Valley 4 or 5 years now, and every time we play them, it comes down to that last trip or two of the game and last minutes or so of the game. And Stan did a great job of getting those kids prepared and toughing that win out against a really scrappy Spring Valley team.
Coach, I got this, Joe Linville. I got tickled, not really tickled, but it kind of surprised me the other night when your dad blacked out over at Wyoming East. When he came to, they said, "Do you have any problems?" And he said, "Yeah, just Wyoming East." He was he was still wanting to coach the game, and I understand you guys took him outside trying to get some fresh air, but I mean that just shows where his heart was in that basketball game.
He guys, you just don't even know this dude. I mean, I thought I was dedicated to coaching, and this guy, he has spent 40-some years, 50-some years almost in the coaching. I mean, I can remember being 5, 6 years old. He would write plays down on every napkin, and that's back when Bobby Knight was really just bringing on man-to-man, and teams were sort of going away from the 2-3 zone. And in the mid-'70s, no team in West Virginia played man-to-man, and everybody played a 2-3 zone, usually a 2-2-1 press back to 2-3 zone. I mean, the whole state played the same thing, and he was one of the first coaches to do that and do the motion offense with Bobby Knight type stuff. And I mean, he really had dedicated his entire life to coaching basketball and coaching kids and being a part of their lives. And it really is sad in this way, but like the doctor told me today, if you would have coached Wednesday night or tonight or something like that, you could have possibly had a heart attack right in the middle of the floor. And so he was very thankful that we caught this thing, before everything happened and anything got worse. And again, he's going to miss it, but he's already talking. He's already scouted Hurricane 2 or 3 times. He's played Winfield 3 times already. So he's already got the assistant coaches. He told me, he said, "Well, I'm just going to have to get on the phone tonight. We'll have to get a game plan ready for Tuesday." I mean, and it's quick turnaround in AAA. It's a very quick turnaround. So he's already got some ideas, and Stan and I'm sure them guys will do the best they can and work with him and getting something prepared for Hurricane.
Well, Mark, we certainly our thoughts and prayers are with your dad, you and your families as well. And I just want to say, though, the fact that you said that he's upset about the loss tonight to Huntington tells me that at least he's feeling a little bit okay in that regard.
He is. He's probably got a few meds in him, too, making him feel a little better. But yeah, he's feeling better. I know he was happy. I mean, it was a heck of a ball game, I think, between Chapmanville and Scott. Came down to a last-second shot there. So he's really happy about the kids he coached last year, getting an opportunity to host a regional final. And then, of course, I am, too, because Brad Napper was a coach with me for very many years. And, of course, Nick Cabell coached close to him also. But, great night of basketball across the state. It's Twitter. I've been following things on Twitter. Actually, it was really funny. The Spring Valley game, he didn't want to listen to it on the radio, so we followed it on Twitter. And every time Spring Valley got on top, I didn't tell him the score, but when we got on top, I told him the score. So, guys, you guys are great, and again, we really appreciate you, and thank you for so much concern and taking listening about him a little bit tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, Mark, we always appreciate talking with you, and we definitely appreciate you taking time out to talk with us. And we do kind of miss you being on the sidelines too. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, he gets to come out of
I
retirement.
miss it myself.
He gets to come out of retirement and take his dad's place on our radio show in the morning as well. So
yeah, there you go on WVOW. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mark, definitely appreciate
I'm
it.
going to try to do that in the morning.
Right.
Well, guys, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Mark Hatcher, the son of the head coach of the Logan Wildcats, Alan Hatcher, who unfortunately had to miss both games of the sectional tournament. And now, as you heard, I still call Mark Hatcher Coach Hatcher.
Oh,
he's still a coach.
He is still Coach. He's still Coach
Once a
Hatcher.
coach, always a coach. Is the way I look at it.
Find out that his dad has to have triple bypass surgery.
I'm glad they got Coach Alan Hatcher's situation diagnosed, but I go back. He talked about 40 years of coaching. I think I go back about 30 because I remember when he was on the sidelines at Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about a guy who coached and gave it all, firebrand guy back in those days.
He still does.
And you kind of wonder, I mean, as intense as he was coaching back then, that something medically didn't happen to him. Because, I mean, he was excitable and intense.
I watched practice Tuesday night before the sectionals down there, and I tell you what, he was giving it all he had then. I mean, the boys on the floor, they weren't doing something right. He was, on them and
letting them have it.
Yeah, he was. So.
That's his way.
Yeah, we got to step aside, take a break, come back. We'll get you another scoreboard update. We'll talk with Randy Payton, WFGH. He had the call of the Tulsa Polka girls game. Lady Rebels going back to Charleston. We'll also talk with Jordon Mounts. He had the Tug Valley Van game. I guess he got into the arena okay. Trust me, games at Tug Valley, you can park a mile and a half away from the arena. You might be still out on 52 for all we know. We'll also talk with Brian Johnson, WCEF. He had the Ripley Capital Boys game. We'll talk with them and get a scoreboard update when we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. It takes just one click to watch. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by clicking the Listen Live tab. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. We'd like you to become our correspondent. Update us on your team's reschedules, scores, and anything else you'd like to send about your teams. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Give us an update on your team's reschedules and any other information you'd like to send. You can tweet, text, and email. Find out how by visiting basketballnight.com. Special thanks again to all our affiliates carrying the show tonight. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Lucas Haynes at Luda304, Coach Wiley at Alex1967, Robert Lewis at Lewis8944R, Bearcat Nation, Michaela at BigMac3013, Kettlecorn at Dean Ketz, Trey Maynard, Bobby Foggin, They Call Me Jay, Jay Cronin, Noah Heinzman, Jason Wilhite, Mark Richmond, Mason989, Alex Blackenbecker, Jasmine Thiek, Tina Lane at Tina Lane 71, Jason Westfall, Coach D, One Life, Hunter Ridgway, Amy Beeman, Paul Humphrey, Angela Toller, Mr. Flattery, and Evan Cole. Thanks for following us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:34 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside Joe Linville. Bill Cornwell back with you on another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Having a good time with you here tonight as we're getting ready to get through the boys sectional scores. And again, I mean, guys, Preston Boswell, 54 points tonight for Magnolia. And we hope to have him on the program a little bit later on. Just to get you to run down the callers real fast that we're going to speak to in just a moment. We'll talk with Randy Payton, WFGH. He had the Tulsa Polka girls game. We'll talk with Jordon Mounts, WXCC radio. He had the Tug Valley Van boys game. We'll talk with Brian Johnson, WCEF. He had the Ripley Capital boys game. We'll talk with them in just a moment. But first, another scoreboard update. You know what? We'll just do this without the bet. How about that? There we go.
Better late than never.
Hey, looking for scores? Look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. Love it when I get them in the back a little bit too. They're so good. It's very hard for me to give them a difficult time about it. But AA girls, Wyoming East beats Pikeview 62-34 in the Region 3 co-championship and in the Region 4 co-championship. Tulsa beats Polka 63-37. Turns out those two are going to meet. Wyoming East, the number 1 seed in AA. Tulsa, the number 8 seed. They'll meet in the opening round of the AA girls state tournament, which, again, we'll talk about the entire girls state tournament in a moment. Moving on to boys sectional tournament action. These are all sectional championship games. In Class A, 54 points for Preston Boswell as they beat Magnolia 78-74. Chase Harbor 41 for Wheeling Central in that win. So Magnolia 78, Wheeling Central 74. Magnolia will advance to the Region 1 co-championship game. So will Wheeling Central. Wheeling Central will have to go on the road. Also in Class A, Region 2, Section 2, it was Pendleton County 61, Pocahontas County 57. Region 3, Section 1, Tug Valley defeats Van 57-32. In Region 3, Section 2, it was Fayetteville over Midland Trail 74-54. So it will be the Midland Trail Patriots visiting Naugatuck to take on Tug Valley. And it will be Van hitting the road to take on Fayetteville in the Region 3 title games Wednesday night. Region 4 in Class A, Section 1, Parkersburg Catholic beats Doddridge County 57-50. Parkersburg Catholic, the number 4 seed in the section, will play host to a regional co-championship game. Joe has AA.
And take a look at the AA. It was the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears taking the game from East Fairmont, 89-46. That's in Region 1, Section 1. It was Webster County falling to Ravenswood. That score, 57-40. That was Region 1, Section 2. As you heard us talking there just a little bit ago about the RCB team, they fell to Bridgeport in a thriller, 53-51. They will face, RCB will go to Kaiser as Kaiser defeated Frankfort 57-56. It was the Polka Dots over the Sissonville Indians 66-39 in that Region 4 Section 1. And it was a game that went all the way down to the final 1/10 of a second. Chapmanville defeated Scott 38-36 on 2 free throws with 0.1 seconds showing on a clock. And now, Bill, we'll take a look at the AAA games.
Well, in Class AAA in Region 1, Section 1, Parkersburg South gets the win over the Big Reds of Parkersburg 69-55. In Section 2 of Region 1, it wasn't the Mohawk Bowl, but it was the two Morgantown schools going at it, and the Morgantown Mohegans get the win over University Skyhawk 65-49. That means your Region 1 championships next week will be Parkersburg South hosting University, Parkersburg making the trip over to Morgantown. In Region 2, Section 1, Martinsburg takes care of Musselman 62-55. In Section 2 and Region 2, Lewis County knocks off Hampshire 63-51. Hampshire will be going to Martinsburg next week in a regional co-championship, and it'll be Lewis County hosting Musselman. That'll be a long trip from Musselman here to play that one with Lewis County. Now over in Region 3, Section 1, Capital Cougars continuing their strong play. They will take on, or they beat Ripley tonight 69-59. They'll find out tomorrow who they'll be playing. Woodrow Wilson and Greenbrier East play tomorrow in the Region 3 Section 2 final. And in Region 4, Section 1 tonight, Coach Lance Sutherland's team gets it done again, like they did last year. Not quite the same personnel, But Hurricane beats Winfield tonight 47-35. Meanwhile, the number two section of Region 4, no surprise, Huntington, so strong, knocks off Logan 71-52. Region 4 finals next week. Hurricane hosting Logan. Winfield makes the trip to Huntington.
So a lot of good matchups set up there as well. And just to put in perspective, that trip next week for Musselman is 216 miles to Weston, a 3-hour, 17-minute voyage.
That is
for a regional game.
That is one large region.
Yes.
And that's in a car. You can imagine on a bus.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's only 3 hours, 6 minutes without traffic.
Oh.
Yeah. Like there's never traffic on I-68 across Maryland and then, up and over in the hills and into Preston County, West Virginia, and then on the way down on 79 to Lewis County. Nice over the river and through the woods trip there. Randy Payton, WFGH, and the sports information director of Rio Grande in Ohio. He visited Tulsa High School tonight, back in the old stomping grounds in Wayne County, to call the Tulsa girls game with Polka in the girls AA Region 4 co-championship. Tulsa gets the win, and Randy, the Lady Rebels, did so in convincing fashion tonight.
First time since 2010 that they're headed back to Charleston. And, actually you see the final score ends up a 26-point victory. It was a 5-point game after 3 quarters. Tulsa led 42-37, and they outscore Polka 21-0, nada, in the fourth quarter to win going away and earn a spot in the AA quarterfinals next Wednesday.
And again, a big win for Tulsa, and in doing so, getting back to Charleston, Dina Gerald's probably the I would put her in a short list of the top maybe 3 to 4 point guards in the state right now, and she's just a freshman. And Randy, she's not the only one with that team though. That team really needs. They need all their parts to be as good as they can be and as good as they have been the past couple of weeks.
Well, that's the impressive part about them. I saw them tonight. Was the second time I've seen them play this year, and the kids that they do have on the roster are smart enough to, you let Dina do what Dina can do, but the other kids know when to step up, and if they've got an open shot, they'll take it. And it's kind of what you saw. I know you guys saw the sectional championship over Wayne last week, and that's kind of what they did in that game tonight. Dina Gerald's had 34 points, but Mariah Finley stepped up and scored 14 points. 9 of those were in the second half as Tulsa was pulling away down the stretch. And Sarah Jude came up with 4 or 5 block shots tonight. Tulsa didn't shoot the ball all that well, but crashed the boards, forced some turnovers. And, we talked with Tulsa coach Rick Marone before the game, and he said, quite frankly, he thought Polka and Sissonville played the best defense in the region. And, did everything he could to talk about how good Polka's defense was. Well, tonight, in addition to the 34 points she had offensively, Dina Gerald's limited Polka's Casey Skeens down to just 8 points. She was averaging 15 points per game coming in. And like I said, as a team, they held Polka scoreless in the fourth quarter. So pretty impressive. They're playing very well defensively in the course of the postseason. Dina's turned her game up even more offensively in the postseason, and obviously, they are, in fact, the 8th seed. They're just 14-11, and they've got a very tough foe facing them next Wednesday in Wyoming East. But, hey, they're one of the final 8, and they're happy to be there.
Hey, Randy, this Bill Cornwell, Rick's got to be real happy with this win tonight, certainly. But I think that this is one of his best coaching jobs. And you may want to comment on this because coming into the season, he had a lot of question marks. He had a lot of concerns. And maybe some holes. They played a tough schedule. And certainly I get you ready for this part of the season. But, man, they have put it together here at the end.
They have just 8 players on the roster. They only have 1 senior in Michaela Messer. And I would agree with you. He's had some outstanding teams and some outstanding players over the years, but they're playing well. At the right time, obviously got a big win tonight, which, by the way, that was win number 369 in Coach Marone's career out at Tulsa. So, and they're just happy. I think we talked before the game. I know folks across the state when the season began. Let's be honest about it. They didn't give Tulsa or Poca, either one, much of a chance to be playing in a regional final. And both of those teams, Poca, even in a loss, they only have 2 seniors, and both of those come off the bench, and they've got some pretty talented players in their own right. We talked about Casey Skeen being limited to 8 points tonight, but their other pretty good offensive player in Aubrey Chandler, she had 20 points tonight, kept them in the game while they were struggling offensively. So the future is bright for Poca. But to answer your original question, I think Coach Marone and his staff have done a great job, given the fact that they're undermanned. They're playing obviously without a lot of depth, and you have to be careful with the foul situation on a night in, night out basis. But 14-11 and heading to Charleston for the first time since 2010. They're a happy bunch tonight.
Well, Randy, again, they'll match up with Wyoming East, the top seed, and that should be a great point guard matchup. I know you haven't had a chance to see Gabby Lapardis, but in terms of point guards, I don't think you're going to get a better one-on-one point guard matchup. And you're talking about a sophomore in Lapardis at Wyoming East and a freshman in Gerald's at Tulsa. And, that could be one of the better storylines going into the tournament is that particular matchup.
Yeah, and, we had Derek Taylor from the Gazette Mail was down to cover the game tonight. We had him on at halftime talking about what to expect out of the AA tournament field next week. And he basically said, hey, I think anybody that's one of the top 6 seeds can win the thing. And, he and I were talking about who might be number one. The folks from Lincoln made the trip all the way down to Glen Hayes tonight, just in case they were number one and Tulsa might be number 8. As it turns out, Coach Marone told me before the game he thought it would be Wyoming East. He was correct. So it ought to be a great AA tournament altogether. But you mentioned the matchup between the 2 point guards in the Wyoming East and Tulsa game, and I know the folks that haven't had a chance to see Dina Gerald play. She's a special player and still obviously got a bright future in front of her, 3 more years of high school ball, but she's pretty good to be a freshman.
Randy, it was good to hear you on WFGH again tonight.
Yes.
It kind of felt like things were back to normal for one night at least.
It's like home.
First time in a long time that I have done a basketball game at Tulsa.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I really don't remember the last time that I was able to do a game on the radio from Rebel Arena, and it was a nice crowd there tonight, and happy to see my buddy Coach Marone. Not to take anything away from Coach Sayer. Met him before the game. Great guy. I wish him all the luck in the future, but happy for my buddy Coach Marone and for my buddy Bo Miller. Chance for Wayne County to have a little bit of a party next week.
Exactly.
Now with Tulsa getting the 8th, Tulsa and Spring Valley will play back-to-back on Wednesday night, so hopefully those 2 schools will come together and root for each other and see if Wayne County can at least get somebody to the semifinal.
Randy, I already called it the Wayne County doubleheader.
Well, that's exactly what it is. I mean, hey, when you're done with your work day, head to Charleston and catch a little basketball and get something good to eat, and hopefully get a couple of wins for the Wayne County schools as well.
There you go. That's Randy Payton, WFGH.
Old habits die hard for me.
Hey, there you go. Hey, I understand that 100%. Randy, thanks as always for joining us.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, that's Randy Payton, the sports information director at Rio Grande. I'm trying to give him an upgrade here. He's the sports information director at Rio Grande and also a friend of this program as well. And he had the WFGH call tonight. We got to decide to take a break. We'll come back. We'll get through some more phone calls with Jordon Mounts, Tug Valley Van, Brian Johnson, WCEF with Ripley Capital, and Justin Turner, WVOW, had Logan and Huntington. We'll get to all of those when we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. Felicity Van Gilder, East Fairmont Lady Bees, Erica Bowles, Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, Madison Webb, Chapmanville Tigers, Dalton Gray, Webster County Highlanders. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day, we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that, too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. On Twitter, follow us at Hoops_Roundup, at Hoops_Roundup. You can email scores and reschedules for your team to scores@basketballnight.com. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
9:51 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling along with Joe Linville and Bill Cornwell back with you here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Real quickly here, we've gone through the AA in depth a couple times in terms of the girls' state tournament. Let me just knock out the AAA and single A girls brackets for you here real fast. Coming up on Wednesday night at 7:15, number 1 seed Morgantown takes on number 8 seed Spring Valley. On, let's see, the 2 seed is going to be Huntington playing Wednesday at 11:15 against 7 seed Buchanan Upshur. The 3 seed is South Charleston. They'll take on 6 seed George Washington on Thursday at 7:15. And the 4 seed is Parkersburg South. They'll take on 5 seed Martinsburg at 11:15 Thursday morning. Now in Class Single A, the number 1 seed, 7-time reigning state champion St. Joe will play number 8 seed Richwood. All these games are Thursday. They'll play at 5:30. Number 2 seed is Gilmer County. The Titans will take on Fayetteville, the 7 seed, at 1 o'clock Thursday. The 3 seed is Tucker County. The Mountain Lions will take on Notre Dame at 9:30 Thursday morning. And the number 4 seed is St. Mary's. So will take on 5th seed Madonna at 9 o'clock Thursday night. So that's your AAA and single A girls state tournament matchups. We'll continue to go through them. Again, you can check them all out on basketballnight.com. We go right back to the phone lines. Tug Valley wins a sectional championship tonight. They beat Van 57-52 in boys action, and Jordon Mounts, WXCC, had the call. And Jordon, first off, have you been able to get out of Naugatuck just yet?
Actually, getting in and getting out of there wasn't too much of a problem. When you show up at 4 o'clock, you can kind of get a parking spot right inside the door. So, it wasn't too bad getting in and out of there.
That's a man who speaks from experience. Tonight, Tug Valley, though, gets the win over Van. And I know, Van has had a lot of success as a team. That they won the hometown invitational, one of the smallest Class A schools. And this has been a very good year for them. They hadn't seen anything like Tug Valley, though. And Tug Valley, with its pressure, just not allowing Van to really get many good looks at the basket. You can tell by just holding them to 32 tonight.
Yeah, guys, from the very beginning of that game, those kids came out with a lot of fire and a lot of heart there at the very beginning of the game. It was only a 2-point game there at the end of the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But as the time went on, they just couldn't they couldn't keep up with the Panthers. I take that back. At the end of the first quarter, the game was tied up 8-8. But as the time went on, it just Tug Valley, the athleticism, the conditioning of those kids that came through, and at the end, the score ended up being there. What was it, 52 to 32?
57.
Yeah, 57-32.
57-32.
That's
I'm shorting my own team a couple of points.
Hey, Tug Valley though right now is 18-3 on the season, and again they'll play host to Midland Trail in the regional co-final. And for this team to get back to Charleston, obviously one win away from doing so. It will take on Midland Trail, who's 14-9. Tug Valley, the way that sectionals and regionals have been drawn out, have been playing teams over the years that, one, aren't really all that close to Naugatuck, and two, aren't traditional rivals. Has it been kind of interesting to see just these different teams running into Tug Valley? I mean, just a few years ago, you had Greenbrier West over for a regional game.
Yeah, like you said, it's just where Tug Valley is so secluded. It's we're a good distance away from any single A team. Tulsa. Just for example, closest schools that we got, Mingo Central. They're a good sized AA. Tulsa is AA. They're going to be dropping single A next year though. But Wayne AA, Spring Valley AAA, all the Wayne County teams, and even whenever you go to Logan County, the closest single A team to us is Man, and even so, Man is a good hour trip from Naugatuck.
Oh, it's a good and it's a good hour.
I'm going to say your closest single A team might be Huntington St. Joe.
Yeah, honestly, it would be. It's a good spread out region, but definitely we've played some good competition over these past few years. Greater Beckley Christian, that's always been a great game for Tug Valley, and but nonetheless. With the restructuring of the classes here next year, Tulsa dropping to single A, Man moving up to AA, it's going to be a crazy regional and a crazy section again for us.
Absolutely, and Midland Trail will have to make a 117-mile, 2-hour, 28-minute venture over to Naugatuck next week. Hey, Jordon, thanks for taking time out to talk with us, and sorry we had to put you on hold for so long.
Hey, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, it's Jordon Mouse, WXCC. You know who else has been on hold a long time? Brian Johnson, WCEF, 30 minutes. Sorry about that, Brian. We've been a little bit backed up tonight. Obviously, a big night when they get into the postseason. Ripley falls tonight to Capital, but Ripley still with an opportunity to go to the state tournament.
Sure do, guys. A lot to play for, and, you just have to take your hat off to Capital. That's an outstanding basketball team, and they're deep, athletic. They really have all the pieces, and have to take our hat off to our kids as well. They fell down 16 points at halftime, and just a resilient group, man. They battled back. They got to within a bucket, and some questionable officiating at the end of the game. I'm not really going to get into it, but the game was much closer than the 10-point deficit that shows on the scoreboard. It was a possession game up until about 20 seconds remaining. So you have to give a lot to our kids for hanging in there, and, of course, Capital, they're going to be a tough out for whoever gets them in the tournament, no question about it.
Well, Ripley will take on the winner of the Woodrow Wilson game against Greenbrier East, that game tomorrow. Ripley's had mixed levels of competition, or at least competitiveness, against Woodrow this year. They've played twice, just 4 days apart. And Woodrow won the first game in Ripley by 5. Won the second game in South Charleston in the MSAC Night of Champions by 24. So, if it is Woodrow who will be favored against Greenbrier East, then that's a matchup that Ripley knows it can compete in, but has to play well to compete in.
Oh, no question about it. We have to really control tempo and get the ball in the paint and utilize our bigs down there and play similar to how we played against South Charleston on Wednesday night, when we were able to upend them in a huge night by Brandon Napper, who had 45. Beckley is one of those teams, guys. They've been there, they've done that. They got the matching socks and T-shirt, and it's a new uncharted territory for the Vikings. And I think in my mind, you will see an inspired bunch after the way this game ended tonight. They'll be ready to play, regardless of who they play or where they play on Tuesday night. But I do feel like that our kids believe, now obviously they have to play their A game, that they can play with Beckley and give them all they want. But they, again, have to take care of the basketball, have to rebound the basketball. And that was a couple of things tonight that came back to haunt us.
Well, Brian, one final note. Ripley got to this game by beating South Charleston 80-67 2 nights ago. That caught some people off guard. But Ripley had already beaten South Charleston by 1 earlier this year in Ripley. So I think I think you are aware of this. I think we're kind of aware of this. Ripley may be better than it has been in recent years. Maybe it's better than it is perceived. You think, though, that now with that postseason win over South Charleston, that starts to get a little bit more positive attention for the Vikings?
I hope so. We said all year long, this Ripley team is a team that could lose to anybody or they could win to beat anybody. It's not a very deep team right now. We are a big team with our front line, two 6'8" guys, and Jamison Hunt running the point, who's just done a tremendous job for this basketball team. But they did feel like they could beat South Charleston, obviously, after doing it at home one time. I expected a tight game. I knew South Charleston would be teed up and ready to go, but Coach Faulkner had our guys ready to play, and we came out to start the fourth period with a 3-point lead and went on an 11-2 run and never looked back from that point on. And that was a brand of basketball in that first part of the fourth period against South Charleston that I'm not sure I have seen a better executed brand of basketball at Ripley in my time of doing this for about 15 years. So it was really gratifying to see for our kids. We've got a great group, and, they work really hard. They love playing basketball with each other, and you could really just kind of see in their eyes that they didn't want this thing to end, and they were going to will themselves to victory that night. And tell you what, Brandon Napper was fantastic. As advertised, the kid is dynamite, and he will be an excellent player in Morgantown in the years to come, no question about it. And that was just a huge statement win for our program and for Coach Faulkner in his early stages of getting things going here at Ripley.
So Ripley falls tonight to Capital in the sectional final, but will be in the regional co-championship game next week at either Woodrow Wilson or Greenbrier East on Tuesday night. Brian Johnson, WCEF. I know Bill Cornwell has one thing for you real quick. We were running out of time here, though.
Didn't you just get back from Disney World?
I did. I sure did.
Brian, I hate you.
Took my one-year-old down there for his first birthday, so we had a great time.
I would move in there if they would give me a hotel room. I would live down there. I love it.
Well, Bill, my wife would too, buddy. She absolutely loves that place. I can tell you that much right now. I'm down there at least 3 times a year.
Okay,
so.
I make at least once a year.
Hey, you're a Wildcat fan. You can tag along with me anytime you want, Bill.
It's right on, baby.
There you go. All right, that's Brian Johnson, WCEF. Hey, sorry for cutting you loose. He wanted to say go Big Blue. He's a Kentucky fan. We understand that.
Well, he kicked at Kentucky, and then I like Kentucky, so there you go.
There you go. So we got to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll get another scoreboard update. We'll talk with Justin Turner, WVOW Radio. Yeah, the Logan-Huntington game tonight. All that and more when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia goes on. We're into our second hour already here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. A special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations including 94 Rock, WRLF Fairmont, Talk 92.5, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM, WIRC LP Spencer, 104.5 FM, WASP WQAZLP Huntington, 97.9 FM WSPWLP Parkersburg, 101.1 FM WVWP Wayne, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. If you think you missed something on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, you can now go to the Apple iTunes Store and download the podcast. You can find us by searching Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia in the iTunes Store. Subscribing is simple and completely free. Podcasts are also available directly on basketballnight.com. Check it out and you can listen and watch all the past shows. Go to basketballnight.com.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. Now back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:05 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville with you. We'll talk in just a moment with Justin Turner, WVOW. He had to call the Logan Huntington boys game. But first, it's time for a BasketballNight.com scoreboard update. Looking for scores? Look no more. Visit BasketballNight.com. Girls Class AA Regional Co-Finals that were postponed from last night. In Region 3, Wyoming East defeats Pikeview 62-34. Tulsa in Region 4 defeats Poca 63-37. And they will end up as number 1 seed Wyoming East and number 8 seed Tulsa. Will have the entire AA. And we'll lay out the entire girls state basketball tournament a little bit later on tonight in our program as well. You can always see it on basketballnight.com. Boys sectional tournament finals in Class Single A. Region 1, Section 1, Magnolia defeats Wheeling Central 78-54. Preston Boswell 78-74. Preston Boswell scores 54 tonight for Magnolia. Chase Harler 41 in the loss for Wheeling Central. In Region 2, Section 2, it was Pendleton County over Pocahontas County 61-57. In Region 3, Section 1, Tug Valley defeats Van 57-32. Region 3, Section 2, Fayetteville improves to 18-2. The Pirates over the Midland Trail Patriots 74-54. So next Wednesday night, Midland Trail goes to Naugatuck to take on Tug Valley. Van will visit Fayetteville. Class A Region 4, Section 1, Parkersburg Catholic defeats Doddridge County 57-50. Parkersburg Catholic will play host to a regional final next Wednesday. Doddridge County will go on the road. Joe has the AA scores.
In Region 1, Section 1, it was Fairmont Senior over East Fairmont, 89-46. In Region 1, Section 2, it was Ravenswood over Webster County, 57-40. In Region 2, it was Kaiser over Frankfort, 57-56. And in Region 2, Section 2, it was Bridgeport in a close one over Robert C. Byrd, 53-51. In Region 4, it was the Polka Dots over the Sissonville Indians, 66-39. And in a tight one, it went right down to the wire in Region 4, Section 2. It was the Chapmanville Tigers over the Scott Skyhawks, 38-36. Bill, let's take a look at AAA.
Class AAA, Region 1, Section 1. Parkersburg South Patriots knock off their rivals, the Big Reds of Parkersburg, 69-55. Meanwhile, Section 2 of Region 1, Morgantown beats rival University, 65-49. Setting your regional finals, Parkersburg South hosting University. Parkersburg going to Morgantown on Tuesday. In Region 2, Section 1, Martinsburg takes care of Musselman 62-55, while in Section 2 it was Lewis County over Hampshire 63-51. Musselman goes to Lewis County, Martinsburg hosting Hampshire next week. In Region 3, Section 1, Capital Cougars beating Ripley 69-59. And we'll know the future opponents of these teams tomorrow because Woodrow Wilson and Greenbrier East will be playing tomorrow. And in Region 4, Section 1, Hurricane Redskins return to the regional finals as they knocked off in-county rival Winfield 47-35. Region 4, Section 2, Huntington Highlanders over Logan 71-52. That means Hurricane will be hosting Logan next Tuesday in Region 4 Co-Championship, while the Winfield Generals will be going up to top of Highlander Mountain to take on the Huntington Highlanders.
That's lookatyourbasketballnight.com scoreboard update. Always, you can follow us on Twitter at hoops_roundup. And something that means is that there will be a team with a losing record in Charleston in the AAA Boys State Tournament because Logan is 10-13, Hurricane is 10-14 on the season. WVOW Justin Turner had the call of the Huntington win over Logan tonight. He was on the Logan broadcast, and Justin, rough night for the Wildcats. I know that it's been a little bit of a week in turmoil for that club, but getting the win over Spring Valley earlier in the week, losing tonight to Huntington, but still an opportunity to go to the state tournament with a game next week at Hurricane.
Yeah, Logan hoping to get back on track there Tuesday over at Hurricane. And, like you said, a little bit of turmoil there with the absence of the head coach due to an illness, but assistant coach Stan Elkins has really stepped up for the Wildcats, and he used to be the assistant with Rabbit over at Tug Valley, and he came to Logan this year to be assistant to Alan Hatcher. But nonetheless, actually, John Ryan Steele called the game with me tonight, and sitting beside us was Willie Akers, and they say back in the day, Coach Akers used to throw a chair or two, and I thought he was about to throw one tonight. But Huntington had 13 threes in the game, and I'm thinking about 11 of those came in the first half. I mean, it's just like everything they threw up was going in, and like John Ryan Steele said, hopefully somebody can put a lid over that rim, and it was just rough for the Wildcats tonight. But offensively in the first quarter, the Wildcats didn't look too bad, but defensively they're back in a 2-3, and just Tavian Dunn-Martin lit it up from the three-point line.
Yeah.
Also, Jalen Pennington, both those guys had 17 tonight.
Yeah, the thing about Huntington, Justin, is they actually are a little bit deeper team this year, and Michael Dawson's been a nice addition to them. But you're right. That's quite a combination with Jalen Pennington and Tavian Dunn-Martin, and that's a lot for any team like Logan to handle when those guys have so much experience. I mean, they've been down to Charleston, won championships, and here they are back for a third time, and that's tough to battle against any time.
Yeah, I was listening to the broadcast, and I think the first four shots there they hit was 3-pointers. So that makes a long night for a team.
Well, that's all they made in the first quarter was threes, and then they went 1 for 2 from the line in the first quarter. It was pretty unbelievable. But like you guys said, very experienced Huntington High School team. 26-1 now in the season, and very deserving of what they get. Coach Hess does a great job over there for the Highlanders, and Logan. Most of the teams they played this year, they were height-wise. They had the advantage, but, just struggling to get the ball in the basket.
A tough loss tonight for Logan. And anytime Huntington shoots like that it's hard to beat them on a night when they don't shoot the ball well, let alone when they shoot that well. And Huntington now 22-1, Logan 10-13. But again, the Wildcats will be at Hurricane next week. And Justin, I know we talked with Mark Hatcher just a little bit earlier. He was telling us Alan Hatcher will have to have triple bypass surgery in the next few days. So obviously he will not be on the sidelines again this upcoming week. So it's a quick turnaround, but I'm sure that they'll put in a good game plan and be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mark really wants to get back out there now, especially He's really getting the fever. He's actually going to join us tomorrow morning. We have the Alan Hatcher show. We're going to do some call-ins tomorrow morning, but tomorrow Mark said he's going to step in for his dad. So it should be interesting on WVOW tomorrow morning and with the calls. And I think Mark Hatcher is really itching to get back into it.
Justin, can you tell any difference in the attitude of the team with Coach Hatcher not being there?
I think I was in the locker room before the game, and it's kind of quiet, to be honest with you. I think they're really, they're really thinking about Coach Hatcher, obviously, and it's just kind of different. You don't go through that very often where your coach is out with an illness, and but like I said, Coach Elkins is really trying to pick up the ball there. It's hard shoes to fill, but he's doing a pretty good job right now.
All right, Justin, we appreciate you taking time to talk with us, and apologize for having to leave you on hold so long.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, you too. Justin Turner, WVOW Radio. He had the call of the Logan-Huntington boys game. Huntington winning the sectional final. Logan, though, will travel to Hurricane next week.
Yeah, Logan and Hurricane did not play during the regular season. As far as the other Region 4 Winfield and Huntington did play, obviously. Both MSAC members, and Huntington beat Winfield by 12, 79-67.
Right now, we'll step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Derek Taylor of the Charleston Gazette-Mail. He was at the Tulsa-Polka game tonight. He was at the Wayne-Sissonville girls game last night. I think he's been in a game just about every night this week, so we can cover a lot of ground with Derek when we come back here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Don't forget the poll question. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Each week, we've got a new poll question just for you. It's another way you can interact with the show. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school voice. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big shout out to all of our new Twitter followers, including Ryan Jones at CRJonesWV, William M. Richards at Lefty1972, Pusha C at Cole Lambert53, J. Mark Gladwell at MD Wildcat Hoops, Travis Martin, Haley Butcher, Ty at Tyler_242424, Jody Basil, R at Taxi431, WVHS Sports, S. Boggs at GuardGirl76, and Wayne Young. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big thank you to all of our Twitter followers giving us schedule updates, scores, and updates on their teams. Welcome to the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. You're part of the best basketball show in the Mountain State. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
Well, it's not Rick Marone. It's not James Collier tonight. It is Ryan Epling along with Bill Cornwell and Joe Linville back with you here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And busy night across the state. Boys sectional tournament championship games in many sections tonight. Regional finals and girls in AA. 2 of them were played tonight because of being postponed from weather yesterday. One of them was Tulsa's win tonight against Polka at Rebel Arena in Glen Hayes. Tulsa gets the home win. Derek Taylor was down there with the Charleston Gazette-Mail. He joins us now on the program. He was also, like I said, Derek's been at a lot of games this week, so we'll pick his brain a little bit here. Derek, this is probably for a sports writer the most wonderful / tiring time of the year.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, thanks for having me on, first of all. The opening night of sectionals, I think I tweeted, I'll sleep on March 19th. Yeah, the last game of the last night of the boys tournament. That's pretty much the way it is. But, I had 4 elimination games this week. I can't think of a better primer for this next 2 weeks than that. So, see some good stuff this week.
Well, tonight you got to see Dina Gerald score 34 points and lead Tulsa to the girls' AA state tournament in a win over Polka. I don't know if you'd had a chance to see her earlier in the season or not, but she's a freshman and she's got game.
I actually, that was the 3rd time I've seen her. I saw her. The thing is, and this is what I was thinking about on my drive back to Huntington, was that I saw Tulsa and her obviously in the Big Ten Cardinal Conference shootout, and then I saw them at Sissonville in January. And then tonight, and what I'm seeing is, look, Dina Gerald is the scoring machine of this team, but this team is maturing. There's a reason they're going to the state tournament, and it's not just an accidental, fluky kind of thing. I mean, do they beat Wayne like they did in the sectional, more than 5 out of 10 times? I doubt it, because I really do think Wayne is one of the 8 best teams in the state right now. But, they got through that. They got that win. And, look, Dina Gerald is – if anybody wants to see the next big thing, they better be at the Civic Center at 5:30 next Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the kid brings it and just has so much energy. And, I had the good fortune to have a seat right next to the Tulsa bench when I was covering the game. And, she's right there at the end of every time out, firing everybody up. Just energy from opening tip to the final buzzer. And, she's real fun to watch play, I'll tell you that much.
Big win tonight for Tulsa. And let's move back a day, too. You and I were at the same game last night. Sissonville beating Wayne by a final of 67-48. A game that was in spurts. It was both teams hit some pretty good runs in that game, so it was close, and I believe it would extend out. It would tighten up again, then spread back out. But Michaela Long has really come on for Sissonville, and I know a lot of people may have the perception of the 2 guards in Carly Pinkerton and Madison Jones, who had such phenomenal state tournaments a year ago, especially Pinkerton in Charleston. And Long can play too. She had 27 last night and 6 threes.
I mean, if people weren't scouting and preparing for Michaela Long before this last month or so, they will be now. I mean, she's been their leading scorer in several games in the last month of the season. And last night, gosh, was no different. She had 27, I believe, last night. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes.
But I mean, she was a member of the now defunct Daily Mail, the all-rookie team last year. And early on in this season, she looked like she really, I don't know, I don't want to call it a sophomore slump or anything like that, but, I didn't know if she was going to take the natural progressive step. Somewhere along the middle of the season, though, she kicked it in. And now they've got, 3 girls, along with, as you said, Pinkerton and Jones, who could go off for 30 at any night. Yeah. And, that's going to be a handful. Look, I know that you've seen my reaction. I know that a lot of people have seen my reaction. I have no idea how that team is the 4th-seeded team in the state tournament.
Yeah,
the field is really stacked. It really is. I think there's 6 teams that can legitimately win the title. But as I said, they're 23-2. They haven't lost since December. They have their top 4 scorers from a title-winning team last year back. But whatever, we'll see how it plays out.
It really feels like that Big Ten Cardinal Conference challenge is almost being held against them.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, they lost to North Marion in that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then they lost
a game in a tournament in South Carolina, and they've just blistered everybody since. Now, to be fair, I think on the whole this was a down year for the Cardinal Conference.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was very top heavy. I mean, Tulsa, they're making it at 14-11. They were not ranked all year. Really, it was Sissonville and Wayne, and Wayne only kind of crept up to the middle levels of the rankings there later in the year. But nevertheless, when you've got that kind of statistical firepower coming back, and you're 23-2, no knock on Fairmont Senior or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Right. No, I absolutely.
I have some guesses, but I'll leave that out.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. And one last note to get with you here, and again on that game that you were at last night. Ariel Atkins for Wayne scores 25 points. I know that she was the AA All-State second team captain as a freshman. And then this year her numbers haven't quite been as large, but her supporting cast was much improved this season, so she didn't have to do as much. But obviously you got to see her play 3 different times this year, at least that I'm aware of. She's in the mix as one of the better players in AA as well.
I would say so, definitely. I was talking last night about this, and we've seen, if you don't mind me elaborating a little
bit.
Go
right ahead.
We've seen a trend in the last 10 to 15 years of multiple all-state selections from single teams. That earlier in my career, it was really rare to see in basketball. This year, I think in AA, I think there's, in my opinion, this is just me, and there's 70 other writers and 120 coaches that can disagree with me. But I think, the All-State team is 8 players, and I think I don't foresee a team having more than one. I think Ariel Atkins is one of those 8. I think Dina Geralds is there. I think Carly Pinkerton, Gabby Lupardis, Hope Bray from Lincoln, I did Erica Bowles from Fairmont Senior, Megan Holler from North Marion. I just don't see anybody loading up because I think AA was that stacked with star players this year.
Seems to me that AA, and I think you agreed with it, and I'm just going off of what you said as well there, that maybe any of the top 6 seeds could win it this year. Just seems like AA was very, very balanced and good.
Yep.
I mean, not bad balance, good balanced.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We talk about this a lot in football. I mean, there's more parity, but it's not just parity this season in this sport. It's really good, really good teams. Like you just said, it's not bad balance. I mean, it's very competitive. I think easily the AA tournament is going to be the most exciting. I personally feel that barring a minor miracle, there are only 2 teams that can win the AAA state title, and that's Morgantown and Huntington. I mean, with Talia Cashwell out of the mix for South Charleston, that's a lot to ask Aaliyah Dunham to go on a 3-game winning streak and put on her back to do. I don't think Parkersburg South has the chemistry and, I don't know. I saw them against Buchanan Upshur, and I know, look, until Parkersburg South beats Morgantown, I'm not going to consider them a title contender, a serious one. They may get that opportunity in the semifinals. They probably will. But I don't see anybody beyond Morgantown and Huntington winning that. And obviously, in single A, if somebody beats St. Joe, I'll take them out for a beer. I mean, I don't know the last time St. Joe's won or lost to a West Virginia team off the top of my head, and I don't expect it to happen next week.
Right. Hey, Derek, thank you so much for taking time out to join us tonight, and take a little breather and get right back into it. Busy couple of weeks still ahead.
Right on, man. Have a great weekend. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Derek Taylor, Charleston Gazette-Mail. He had Tulsa Polka tonight, Wayne Sissonville last night, and about 15 other games over the course of the past week and a half as well. We're going to step aside, take a break right now. We'll come back. We'll talk with Preston Boswell. He had 54 points tonight. Magnolia beating Wheeling Central. We'll talk with him. We'll have another scoreboard update for you when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. And thanks to everyone that has sent us all the game reschedules. You can send your game reschedules by text, tweets, and emails. We appreciate you being part of all the people out there updating us on all the rescheduled games throughout the Mountain State. Send your rescheduled games via Twitter. Send it to @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can also text us 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. And you can send us an email. Email scores@basketballnight.com. scores@basketballnight.com. Go to our website, check it out, find out how you can connect with the show. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Christina Fox @KFox_Bravado, Traquan Gibson, Lucas Haynes @Luda304, Coach Wiley @Alex1967. Thanks for following us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:30 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside Joe Linville and Bill Cornwell back with you on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We've got a whole queue of callers ready to go, so we'll get to them in just a moment. So let's jump in right now with another scoreboard update. Looking for scores? Look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. We start with the two girls co-regional games, the final two regional games in the state. They were postponed from last night to tonight because of weather. Wyoming East defeats Pikeview 62-34, and it was Tulsa with 34 points from Dina Geralds defeating Polka 63-37. So Wyoming East and Tulsa both head to Charleston, and they'll play each other in the opening round of the girls' state basketball tournament. Now in boys sectional final action. Bill, we'll start with you in Class AAA.
All right, Class AAA in Section 1. It was Parkersburg South knocking off rival Parkersburg 69-55. Region 1, Section 2, Morgantown takes out another rival University. Final score, Mohegan 65, the Skyhawks of University 49. That sets up the regional finals in Region 1, Parkersburg South hosting University. Parkersburg traveling to Morgantown. In Region 2, Section 1, Martinsburg gets the win over the Musselman-Appleman 62-55. In the Section 2 of Region 2, it was Lewis County knocking off Hampshire 63-51. Hampshire makes the trip to Martinsburg next Tuesday for the regional co-final. Lewis County will host the Musselman-Appleman. In Region 3, Section 1, Capital knocks off Ripley 69-59. Their opponents next week will be determined tomorrow, as Woodrow Wilson and Greenbrier East will be playing tomorrow. And that, of course, Ripley will be going on the road to either Woodrow or Greenbrier, whoever is the winner tomorrow. The loser of that game tomorrow goes to Capital. And in Region 4, Section 1, Hurricane Redskins get the win over in-county rival Winfield 47-35. And in Section 2, Region 4, Huntington knocks off Logan 71-52. Logan goes to Hurricane next Tuesday in a regional co-championship. Huntington Highlanders will host Winfield.
In Class AA, in Region 1, Section 1, it was the Polar Bears of Fairmont Senior over East Fairmont, 89-46. In Region 1, Section 2, it was Ravenswood over Webster County, 57-40. In Region 2, Section 1, it was Kaiser over Frankfort, 57-56. Region 2, Section 2, it was the Bridgeport Indians over the RCB Eagles, 53-51. In Region 4, Section 1, it was the Polka Dots over Sissonville, 66-39. In Region 4, Section 2, it was the Chapmanville Tigers over the Scott Skyhawks. One game be played tomorrow. It'll be a Wyoming County battle as Wyoming East takes on West Side.
Class Single A, tomorrow it will be St. Joe and Charleston Catholic in the Class A Region 4 Section 2 championship game. In Region 4 Section 1, it was Parkersburg Catholic 57, Doddridge County 50. Region 3 Section 1, Tug Valley defeats Van 57-32. Region 3 Section 2, Fayetteville defeats Midland Trail 74-54. Midland Trail at Tug Valley, Van at Fayetteville next week. Class A Region 2 Section 2, Pendleton County defeats Pocahontas County 61-57. And in Region 1 Section 1, it was Magnolia 78, Wheeling Central 74. Chase Harler had 41 in the loss for Wheeling Central. Preston Boswell, though, a school record, 54 points tonight in the victory for the Blue Eagles, the reigning state champions, 1 win away from going back to Charleston. That's your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. And fresh off his 54-point performance, Preston Boswell, the senior guard, joins us tonight. And Preston, 54 points against Wheeling Central. I think tonight a pretty good night for you, would you say?
Oh yeah, it was a great night. Couldn't have done it without my team though.
Well, you've been a guy who's been a 30-plus point a night player basically for your ball club. What made tonight different? 54, a school record. I mean, even for a guy scoring 30-plus a night, 54 is a standout night.
Oh yeah, my teammates they made some nice passes and got me some even more extra, maybe easy buckets, and I got to the line a lot. It's not a great percentage, but I was like 19 for 27, I think I was.
So your team now 20-2 and the reigning Class A state champs, Wheeling Central 21-2. Obviously, that is a very difficult section, but in winning the section, you get a home game in the regional co-final, and now you're 1 win from going back to Charleston. I know that all that is kind of icing on the cake, but for you guys, I know Wheeling Central is a rivalry game, and it has become one since Magnolia dropped to Class A just now about 4 years ago. But that has been a very intense rivalry and a big win for you guys. What about Wheeling Central brings out the best in Magnolia?
Oh, we love playing them. They're such a great team. They have great players, including Chase, who's he's the best in the state. And it just, all the fans get rowdy, and it's a really fun game to play in because both teams just want to win it so bad, and we always butt heads, and it's great to watch and even better to play in.
I think when you're growing up, you always have now again, I know when you were growing up, Wheeling Central wasn't exactly the rival for Magnolia because Magnolia spent most of the time there in AA. But since you've been in high school in Class A, I know growing up you always would, anyone who plays basketball, they kind of have that dream of that big game, that big performance in that big game. Did this exceed anything that you'd ever dreamed of?
Yeah, I can't lie. Yeah, that was really exciting.
Well, Preston Boswell, 54 points tonight in Magnolia's win over Wheeling Central. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on a great game, and we wish you guys the best of luck next week in the regional.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.
All right. Hey, he deserved it tonight. Yeah. 54 points.
Man, those guys are on fire. They have not lost since January 2nd. That's quite a record. And he's a senior, of course, and you kind of wonder, but 'cause he's a big scorer. He's been a big scorer all year. Somebody surely in the MEC or somewhere's got to give this guy a chance to play some college ball. We talked about Chase Harler, and he's going to end up at West Virginia, obviously, and he's going to do. I'm sure he'll do well. But Preston Boswell, someone's got to get him because he's a player.
We'll talk more about that in just a moment, but. Do want to mention first off that we will talk with Magnolia coach Dave Tallman a little bit later on. Preston Boswell is committed to Wheeling Jesuit, by the way.
Okay, well, that's a good choice and a very good program.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that. We'll talk with Dave Tallman in a moment. We'll also talk with our resident referee, Bo Anderson, a little bit later on tonight. And we'll have our standout athlete of the week join us too in a moment. But before all that, one of the great finishes tonight came at the Logan Fieldhouse. Surprise, surprise, right? that arena
just the history,
just has a lot of magic. As Chapmanville Regional defeated Scott tonight in the AA Region 4 Section 2 championship game. Chapmanville winning that game by a final of 38-36. Chris Kidd, WVOW, had the final call.
It'll be Day to inbound it from in front of the Scott bench. He gets it into Bell, down to 6 seconds. Bell driving to the basket, goes up and under, layup, rolls off the rim, no good. Rebounded by Browning, and we get a foul in the backcourt. A foul, let's see here, with 0.1 seconds left. Oh my God! This is going to send Browning to the line for a 1-and-1 with 0.1 seconds left. A reach-in foul against the Skyhawks.
And that's a 1-and-1 though, Chris. He only gets one opportunity to ice this game. I have not seen anybody, since we started this, broadcasting for years, for anybody to be under this kind of pressure with this big a crowd and in this kind of a rivalry. He has a chance to ice the game, but he has one chance to do it.
Well, it's Browning who's the leading scorer tonight with 14 points. A chance for the sectional title. He hits it! He hits it! Chapmanville leads it by 1 with 0.1 seconds left. The Chapmanville section has erupted as the Scott fans starting to hit the exits. He hits them both. Only 0.1 left. Scott won't even be able to get a shot off. And the Tigers are the sectional champions as Underwood nearly threw it in from half court, but it wouldn't have counted anyway. And what a comeback by the Tigers in the second half. They outscore Scott 19-6, and they take the sectional championship for the second time in 3 years. In what heartbreaking fashion for the Skyhawks in the way that they lost this game here tonight. Again, controlled this throughout, led it by 11 at halftime, and just fell apart in the second half offensively, Brian. Again, only 6 points for Scott and only 1 field goal in the entire second half.
That was Chris Kidd, WVOW Radio. He joins us now. Chris, you calm down yet?
No. I can answer that.
I got to start getting more excited about these games. I mean, I got to let my personality out a little bit more. I mean, I really hold it in.
Show some more passion.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I worked with Ryan, fortunately, there at WMUL for a couple of years, and I've been really fortunate here the last few weeks to be able to do some games with Joe Linville, and I know Joe's from Scott, and I know that it's I know it's tough for him not being there tonight and being able to be a part of that. But I mean, man, just unbelievable the way that game finished. I mean, that's 2 times in 3 years now where Scott's just had heartache at the end of it. Again, 2 years ago it was the 3. Was it a 3? Was it not a 3 from Logan Webb in the corner where they waved it off? And then tonight you hit the foul with 0.1 seconds left. Now, I asked a lot of people after the game because I couldn't really see it. From where I was at, there were bodies everywhere underneath the basket after Bell's layup rolled off the rim. I thought it was going to go in or fall in, and I was looking at the clock to see if Chapman would have any time left to even get a heave off. And then you saw Browning hit the deck, and he said he was tripped after the game in the post-game interview, and Brad Napper said the same, and a lot of people around the area said, yeah, he was tripped, but then a lot of people also said, but the way the game was being called in the second half, which, there were a few muggings that happened in the second half that kind of let go, and that a lot of people said the way it was being called, maybe it should have been let go, but it was either going to be a travel or a foul in that situation. And for Chapmanville, fortunately, they signaled a foul on it. But you really do have to feel for Nick Cabell and the Skyhawks. I mean, Nick Cabell's one of the more affluent, easygoing people and nicest people you can talk to, and a lot of his kids, I mean, they work so hard in that community over at Scott to really get that program to where it's at and do it, and they had those famous T-shirts last year, means more because we're local, and I understand that. I mean, a lot of communities feel like, you should keep a lot of your local players and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I really give a lot of credit to them and how well they've done. But, I mean, for Chapmanville, though, to be this young and to do what they've done, again, only one senior on the roster and two juniors, and their primary scorers and talent are freshmen and sophomores right now. And Kyle Browning, someone that they don't look to score a lot, it led the team in scoring tonight with 16 points. And, at halftime, I looked at Brian, my brother who does the games with me, and I looked at him and said, well, it looks like we're heading to Polka on Wednesday or Tuesday next week. And, I mean, this team just doesn't quit. I mean, 9 wins in their last 10 games, and to be able to knock Scott off like that, I know that means a lot to Brad Napper and this young team.
Tell you what, Chris, this will be interesting next week in the regional final, because this is going to be the rubber match of 3 between Chapmanville and Sissonville. Obviously, Cardinal conference mates, and Chapmanville beat Sissonville but 10 at home, then lost by 9 at Sissonville. So looks like really evenly matched teams, and you'd think Chapmanville should enjoy a little advantage with the home court.
Yeah, because they, like you said, they won at home by 10. Now, that was a game, though, that Sissonville led by 8 going into the fourth quarter, and Chapmanville just blew them out in the fourth quarter. I think outscored them 26-8, if I'm not mistaken, and ended up winning that game by 10. Then over in Sissonville, Chapmanville, I mean, they've rarely had success over there, and got out to a bad start in the first quarter, fell down, I think it was 16-3 after the first period, and just never really recovered from it. But the interesting thing about all that was that in this winning streak for Chapmanville, they won 9 of 10. The only loss in that 9 of 10 was at Sissonville. And we talked about it all year long. Even Joe and I have had these conversations about how important it is to win the section, because we all know where the loser was going to head, and that's going to be over to Polka. Right. But even then, we all even said that even the winner of the section, it's not going to be easy sledding trying to get to Charleston, because you're going to have to deal with Herbert, Hoover, or Sissonville in order to get there. I mean, that's a Sissonville team. Rich Skeen does a tremendous job. They've got 4 guards. They can spread the floor. They all can shoot the 3. It's very difficult to guard that ball club. And Chapmanville's been getting a lot more production out of their bigs as of late. I think that'll be the advantage in the game for the Tigers when Sissonville comes here next week. And, Hunter Neal's really emerged for Chapmanville. Jordan Whip has had several big games down the stretch for the Tigers. Even Tyler Moore coming in. He's been able to do great in spot duty for them. So I think that'll be the plan for Chapmanville, but a lot of that will come down to how they're able to take care of the guards in that game for the Tigers to try and get back to Charleston. But I think that's going to be one of the more interesting matchups around the states and the regions next week between those two teams, because they don't particularly like each other either.
Hey, we're going to let Chris Kidd go now and calm back down, get his oxygen, get him a good meal, get his stamina back up after that one, as Chapmanville beats Scott in a thriller tonight at the Logan Fieldhouse in the AA Region 4 Section 2 title game. 2 free throws with 1/10 of a second left in a 1-and-1 situation. Just unbelievable, and a big win there tonight for Chapmanville. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll introduce you to our standout athlete of the week. We'll also have Magnolia boys coach Dave Tallman. That's all when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. It takes just one click to watch. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by clicking the Listen Live tab. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. We'd like you to become our correspondent. Update us on your team's reschedules, scores, and anything else you'd like to send about your teams. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Give us an update on your team's reschedules and any other information you'd like to send. You can tweet, text, and email. Find out how by visiting basketballnight.com. Special thanks again to all our affiliates carrying the show tonight. A shout out to all our new Twitter followers. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. New followers include Lucas Haynes @Luda304, Coach Wiley @Alex1967, Robert Lewis @Lewis8944R, Bearcat Nation, Michaela @BigMac3013, Kettle Corn @Dean Ketz, Trey Maynard, Bobby Foggin, They Call Me Jay Cronin, Noah Heinzman, Jason Wilhite, Mark Richmond, Mason989, Alex Blackenbecker, Jasmine Thief, Tina Lane @TinaLane71, Jason Westfall, Coach D, One Life, Hunter Ridgway, Amy Beeman, Paul Humphrey, Angela Toller, Nestor Flattery, and Evan Cole. Thanks for following us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
10:50 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling and Bill Cornwell with you, joined now by our special correspondent, Andrew Harrison. And Andrew, we'll talk with our standout athlete of the week, Macy Newsom, in a few moments. It'll be right after the top of the hour. We'll talk with her. But Andrew, I know you've got to cover a little bit here about learning more about our standout athlete of the week, Macy Newsom from East Fairmont High School. And she's someone who somewhere around Christmas time outside the stores in Fairmont might be familiar to some people.
Yeah, Newsom, she makes sure she's a part of the Salvation Army and ringing the bells out there and making sure that Salvation Army gets some donations as well as there's awareness there and trying to make sure that as the Salvation Army gets itself some extra funding in terms of help that way. And she's someone who's adamant about that. And Coach Beckman talked about it. It's not only her, she helps lead other players on that team and program with the Lady Bees and doing that Salvation Army almost activity.
And Andrew, and this is something that we've caught on with a lot of our standout athletes of the week. She also works with children.
Yeah, she goes to grade schools and elementary schools and not only reads to them but works with them. Not in a sport atmosphere, but also almost teaching-wise, and it's something that she's done, and she's done since she's been with the Lady Bees from her freshman year. And Coach Beckman, when he took over the program, when she was a sophomore, she has continued to do that. And he says he is just we'll miss her when she will no longer be a part of the program.
Andrew now has more on our standout athlete of the week, Macy Newsom.
Macy Newsom is a tough senior player for the East Fairmont Lady Bees, and she is this week's Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. She pickpocketed players and rebounded the basketball with enthusiasm. Sean Newsom, Macy's father, says she is a selfless player on the court.
She took pride in being able to be an assist kind of person to distribute the ball to the whole team instead of taking a layup. She's one to pass the ball. Sometimes I get on her, she passes too much, but she's shown that she wants to be the full team player and getting everybody involved in an offense.
Basketball is not the only sport Newsom participates in at East Fairmont. Mr. Newsom says Macy is also a cross-country runner and track athlete.
She made the finalists in cross-country her sophomore year. Went to Cabell Midland and participated in the cross-country states as a sophomore. And then she's made the Charleston every year as a track sprinter from her freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
Newsom played the 3 guard for the Lady Bees this year. Lady Bees head coach James Beckman says Newsom was a leader for his squad this season.
Macy Newsom has been one of our leaders on the floor. When I say leaders, she's more lead by example. She's not a very vocal leader. She doesn't want to be that vocal leader. She wants those underclassmen and her teammates to see how she competes on the floor. There's no off night for Macy. What you see on the floor in practice is what you see in a game.
That leadership extended into mentorship for Newsom. As a senior this year, she embraced the role. Coach Beckman says she was leading and mentoring the younger players on his team all season long.
Well, I'll tell you, come mid-season this year, you knew what she was doing. She was training her younger players, because I had one particular individual on our team tell us, I want to be the next Macy Newsom when she leaves. I want to be that player coach that defends the opponent's best player. I want to take her role next year. So she was training that young lady with us coaches even knowing it.
Macy Newsom is a stellar athlete, but an even better student. She is someone who's grown from being a sixth man as a sophomore to a starter as a senior. She embraces the challenges thrown her way and has loved the game of basketball since she was a little girl. Newsom early in her life has built the pieces needed to succeed. Reporting for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Andrew Harrison.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and we'll talk with Macy Newsom again at the top of the hour. So another impressive standout athlete of the week. They all are, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
And she's another one as well. And right now, someone who's been impressive, the Magnolia Blue Eagles, playing really good basketball right now, and including a win over Wheeling Central tonight. We talked with Preston Boswell. He had 54 points in that game just a moment ago. Dave Tallman is the head coach of the Blue Eagles. He joins us now. And Coach Tallman, your ball club lost 2 games right about the new year. Lost to Wheeling Central and Trinity back-to-back. Have not lost since. And playing really good ball over the past couple of months.
Right. What some people forget is we had a 14-0 football season. 4 of the top 8 players on my team were football players. And not to make excuses, but we are really peaking at the right time, and it's exciting.
And your ball club, again, we talked about getting that win. And Preston Boswell, 54 points. I think even for him, that's something you probably weren't expecting that much output going into tonight's game.
You know, he just went on a tear. He wants to win. He loves his teammates. He loves this community. Of course, he's stepping up against Chase Harler, who was Player of the Year last year in the state of West Virginia. And I don't think there's any secret that Preston, he has to be a candidate this year. There's no doubt. And if anybody was at the game tonight, they have to be thrilled to watch him play.
Well, I know you're thrilled to have him on your team instead of having to try to figure out how to guard him. What is it that he does? I mean, he got to the free throw line. We talked to him. He said he shot about 27 free throws. He wasn't sure exactly how many. But what is it that he does? Obviously, he can drive with the basketball, and it is tough to stop on penetration. But from my understanding, he's got more of a complete game as well. That's not just put his head down and drive to the basket.
Right, and he got a lot stronger, so he can carry people to the rim, and he gets some three-point plays, and that's a credit to him. You know, he could have sat on his laurels from last year, and he went out and just worked his tail off. Danny Sancombe at Wheeling Jesuits getting the gym. I can tell you that.
Well, Coach Tallman, Magnolia will get a home game in the regional. Of course, that was a big deal also with tonight's sectional win over Wheeling Central. But Class A, again, I know that last year it was a situation where I think there were a lot of good teams, even though the top 2 made it and the top 2 played in the title game. You were in it. You won it. But in terms of the differential in the top, it's still a very slim margin for error.
All right. I mean, you saw our first-round game against Notre Dame last year, a great team, and we had to come from way behind. It was kind of a miracle. And then Beckley Christian, of course, in the semifinals. And it's just a tough division all the way around. And this year I think you have 5 if not 6 really good teams. Unfortunately for Scotty Sorrow, Williamstown, they got upset by Parkersburg Catholic. So you take one of them out of the mix. But I'll tell you, we have a great challenge Wednesday night with St. Mary's, even though it's at home. And that's all we're looking forward to right now.
Coach, congratulations on the win tonight. I know you guys are playing some real good basketball, and best wishes next week as you try to get back to Charleston.
Hey, thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure, and you guys do a great job. You really do. And, I'm all about promoting high school basketball, and I don't think anybody does a better job than you guys.
Hey, we greatly appreciate that. That's Dave Tallman, the head coach of the Magnolia Blue Eagles, and he hit a point there. I just want to hit it before we go to break here, though, that we do this for you guys. We do this for not just the players, not just the coaches, not just the fans, for everyone. And this is we consider this a celebration of high school basketball in the state of West Virginia. I know come tournament time, it gets different. The competitive juices even hit another notch. But Joe, this program allows us an opportunity to kind of bring everything together within a state that is geographically about as diverse and spread apart as you can get.
It is. And, you're talking about, going to the tournament and how things are different. But it's good to go to the tournament to see, a lot of people, that's the only time I get to see them of the year. And I know you have a lot of friends and, broadcasters and coach friends, across the state. And it's a great opportunity when they do get to come to Charleston and, to bring the others in that didn't make the tournament, but come down and, to celebrate with their friends and family. So.
And something that I would highly recommend for the folks who maybe have never played in a state tournament, or maybe, let's be honest, there are some programs that are out there who are close but have still never made it.
Right.
Go. Take it in, enjoy it.
Because you
might get to play in it.
Yeah. So. You talk about an incentive to, when your season's over, especially if you lost the week before in a regional final and you didn't get to Charleston. Go down there. Watch one game. Watch your mates from your region who maybe you lost to. If that doesn't get you fired up, if you're a sophomore, junior, and you're coming back next year, nothing will, because you see the folks on that court that deprived you of the opportunity. Yeah. Get in there and get ready. Work your tails off this summer and be on that court next year.
Absolutely. And
I'm just going to say, I know a lot of people that take vacation and come down with their family, stay in, rent a motel room, spend the whole week in Charleston just for the tournaments.
And absolutely, there's no better incentive than seeing it in person. And we'll step aside right now, take a break. Sorry, Bill, I'm cutting you off there. But
that's okay.
We've got to get to a break. We're at the top of the hour. We'll come back. We'll talk with our standout athlete of the week, Macy Newsom. And we'll have our resident referee, Bo Anderson. I've got some questions for him.
I do too.
We'll be back when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. A special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations including 94 Rock, WRLF Fairmont, Talk 92.5, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRC-LP Spencer, 104.5 FM WASP-LP Huntington, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP Parkersburg, 101.1 FM WVWP Wayne, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. If you think you missed something on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, you can now go to the Apple iTunes Store and download the podcast. You can find us by searching Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia in the iTunes Store. Subscribing is simple and completely free. Podcasts are also available directly on basketballnight.com. Check it out, and you can listen and watch all the past shows. Go to basketballnight.com.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. Now back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
11:03 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Now 11:04, right on the top of the queue there. But nonetheless, another busy night of high school basketball throughout the Mountain State. And hey, just to all of our callers out there, real fast, you can wish our screener Allie a happy birthday. That comes up in less than an hour. So. Gotcha. Nonetheless,
you owe a lot of paybacks, right?
I owe a lot of paybacks to that crew. Let's put it that way. And I already know they're going to get me back later. But nonetheless, and when I mean later, I mean like probably the next time we come back from a break. But it's time for a scoreboard update. Let's do that. There we go. I think I made them laugh so hard they might have lost it over. Looking for scores, look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. Girls Class AA regional co-championship games that were postponed from last night to tonight. Wyoming East wins Region 3 co-championship with a 28-point win over Pikeview, 62-34 the final. The Panthers had just 5 points in the first half. 34 points tonight for Dina Gerals as the freshman leads the Tulsa Lady Rebels to the first state tournament since 2010 with a 63-37 win over Polka tonight at Rebel Arena. And again, Wyoming East and Tulsa, the 1 and 8 seeds in AA. We'll go through all those seeds and matchups for the girls' state tournament. You can see them on basketballnight.com, but we'll go through them all a little bit later on tonight in the program. Boys side, Class A sectional. It was a Region 1 Section 1 championship. Magnolia beats Wheeling Central by a score of 78-74. 54 points tonight for Preston Boswell in the win, and overshadows a 41-point performance from Chase Harler, the WVU commit, in the loss. Pendleton County wins Region 2 Section 2 with a 61-57 win over Pocahontas County. Tug Valley wins Region 3 Section 1 with a 57-32 win over Van. They'll host Midland Trail, who lost in the Region 3 Section 2 title game to Fayetteville. 74-54, Pirates get the win. Fayetteville will host Van on Wednesday night. In Region 4 Section 1, Parkersburg Catholic beats Doddridge County 57-50. Parkersburg Catholic will host the loser of tomorrow's Charleston Catholic St. Joe game, while Doddridge County will travel to the winner. Joe has AA.
In Class AA, Region 1, Section 1, it was Fairmont Senior over East Fairmont, 89-46. Region 1, Section 2, it was Ravenswood over Webster County, 57-40. In Region 2, Section 1, it was Kaiser over Frankfort. And Region 2, Section 2, it was the Bridgeport Indians over the Robert C. Byrd Eagles, 53-51. In Region 4, Section 1, it was the Polka Dots over the Sissonville Indians, 66-39. And Region 4, Section 2, it was the Chapmanville Tigers and a buzzer beater over the Scotts Gauks, 38-36. Also in Region 3, Section 2, that game was played actually Wednesday night. Pikeview defeated Bluefield. And in that other section game in Region 3 will be played tomorrow between the two Wyoming County teams, Wyoming East and Westside.
Class AAA, we go to Region 1, Section 1. Parkersburg South beats Parkersburg 69-55. Then in Section 2, it was Morgantown knocking off University 65-49. Parkersburg South next week will host University. Parkersburg goes to Morgantown for regional finals. Region 2, Section 1, Martinsburg holds off Musselman 62-55. Meanwhile, Region 2, Section 2, it was Lewis County, a winner over the Hampshire Trojans 63-51. Hampshire makes the trip to Martinsburg next week. Lewis County will host Musselman in Weston. In Region 3, Section 1, Capital, a winner over Ripley 69-59. And their future opponent will be decided tomorrow at the Raleigh County Civic Center. I still call it the Armory.
It's the Armory.
It's still the Armory.
It'll always be the Armory.
Always be the Armory. Anyway, Woodrow Wilson will be playing Greenbrier East tomorrow at 4. And that will determine who Capital and Ripley will be playing next Tuesday. Finally, in AAA Region 4, Section 1, it'll be Hurricane hosting one of those regional finals. Hurricane knocked off Winfield tonight, 47-35. And then Region 4, Section 2, team that's only lost once this year, the Huntington Highlanders. They knocked off Logan, 71-52. Highlanders host Winfield next Tuesday in a regional co-final. Logan goes to Hurricane.
That is your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. We'll talk with Ripley coach Evan Faulkner in just a moment. We'll also have our resident referee, Bo Anderson, a little bit later on tonight. But first, we want to talk now with our standout athlete of the week. She's from East Fairmont High School, where she averages 8 points, 6 rebounds per game, 3 steals. All Big Ten defensive team for the 3rd straight year. Also a member of the Ripley Holiday All-Tournament team and the All-Sectional team in Class AA Region 1, Section 1. But more importantly than all of that, a 3.4 GPA, and also rings the bell for the Salvation Army and works with kids. Macy Newsom, she joins us now. Oh, guess what, guys? Oh, no. We just lost her.
Oh, no.
You built her up.
We just
modern technology.
We just lost her. We've had her on hold for 30 minutes. I feel bad. Oh, no.
You may have burned her phone. May have burned the battery.
I was going to say, I hope it wasn't one of those phones that the battery blew up or something.
Well, don't put me through that. Okay, well.
Maybe we can get her back.
Yeah, and I can't do that whole build-up again. That was it. That's all I've got.
I tell you, the numbers on her are really impressive. You can tell that she has bought into the concept of team basketball because she is not a big scorer. 8 points per game. That's for a senior. That's a pretty average deal. I mean, but she does it on the defensive end. She's an all-conference defensive player. And she does it on the boards. I mean, she plays team basketball.
Do not play the whole intro music again, but we do have Macy Newsom now, and I'm sorry we lost her right there. Maisie, congratulations on being our standout athlete of the week.
Thank you.
And thank you for sticking it out with us. I know we had to put you on hold there for a very long time, but representative of East Fairmont High School and representative of that community, more than just a school and more than just on the court. How did you get involved with the Salvation Army?
Well, our coach Beckman, he signed us up, and then we just started ringing the bell for the Salvation Army.
3.4 GPA as well, and obviously sports takes a lot of time. And how are you able to mix sports and academics and to maintain such a good grade point average?
I try to study every night and to keep up my grades, and
Yeah. Well, no, we understand completely. Look, and I've got to say, if I was, a senior in high school and being on the statewide, well-listened to radio program,
I would be a little nervous as well.
Yeah. Sometimes we get nervous here as it is. But Macy, I know Coach Beckman, first off, has been a good friend to our program as well. Just tell me a little bit about not only what he's done with you guys on the court. You mentioned with the Salvation Army off the court. It seems to me like he is more than just a coach, but he's also a leader within the school community.
Yeah, he always wants us to do team dinners, team bonding all the time, or just team sleepovers. We do everything as a team.
I know the season didn't end as you would have wished, and a loss to a very good Fairmont senior team, but you'd won 3 consecutive games before that. And Macy Newsom, senior guard with the East Fairmont Bees. Thank you for joining us tonight. Congratulations on being our standout athlete of the week.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk with Evan Faulkner, head coach of the Ripley boys basketball team. They're getting ready for a regional co-final next week. They'll be doing some traveling for it, though. We'll also have our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Maybe. Yeah, I promise we will get him this next segment. When we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. Felicity Van Gilder, East Fairmont Lady D's, Erica Bowles, Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, Madison Webb, Chapmanville Tigers, Dalton Gray, Webster County Highlanders. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the standout athlete of the week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day, we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that, too. Send us your team's scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. On Twitter, follow us at @Hoops_Roundup, @Hoops_Roundup. You can email scores and reschedules for your team to scores@basketballnight.com. Check it out at basketballnight.com. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:16 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Final hour of the program, and we've only got 15 more minutes to go. Wow, we've got so much to get through still. Evan Faulkner, we go right back to the phone lines. He is the head coach of the Ripley boys basketball team. They fall tonight by 10 to Capital in the sectional championship, but we'll play in the regional co-championship next week. And Coach Faulkner, I know tonight was a difficult loss for your ball club, but still, Tuesday night, you're one win from going to Charleston in the state tournament.
Yeah, we're excited about that, obviously. Was a little disappointed tonight. Kids fought really hard and gave themselves a chance to win down the stretch, but unfortunately just couldn't hardly make enough plays to get ourselves over the hump. But certainly excited about Tuesday night, and we'll get a chance to see that game tomorrow against Beckley and Greenbrier East. And that's been our goal from the start to finish our season in Charleston. So that hope's still alive. We're going to keep fighting, and hopefully, we'll play well Tuesday and give ourselves a chance.
Well, your ball club again playing at either Beckley, Woodrow Wilson, or at Greenbrier East. We'll see who wins that game tomorrow. Well, I guess you might be on I-77 tomorrow to go watch some basketball.
Yeah, they play at 4 o'clock tomorrow, so we'll definitely be there, and then try to get a feel for those two teams. We're a little more familiar with Beckley, haven't played them twice this year, but
I haven't got a chance to see Greenbrier East much, and try to again go get a feel for those guys and see if we can't give ourselves a little bit of an advantage. And we know Beckley was there tonight, so they're working too. We just we're looking forward to seeing that game tomorrow.
Coach, I think you got a lot of attention around the state just a couple of nights ago when you knocked off a South Charleston team that a lot of people had penciled in for a spot at the Charleston Civic Center in a couple of weeks. So go back to that one and talk about what went right for the Vikings in that contest.
You know, our guys just played with a ton of fight. I felt like was probably the best game from start to finish that we put together. And, you know, our kids were motivated and felt like they really got themselves ready to go mentally and physically. We had good days of prep, and, you know, seniors stepped up. Luke Leahy had 21 points and 13 rebounds. And, you know, I just believed that he wasn't ready for that season to end. Ended up scoring his 1,000th point that night. So a lot of good things happened. But, you know, our kids were motivated by the fact that, you know, a lot of people weren't giving us a shot in that game. And it's a little bit funny to me that, you know, we beaten them once already, and it seemed like people had counted us out. So for our kids to respond and play really well in a, you know, high-level game with their backs against the wall was really satisfying. I was really proud of our kids.
Coach Faulkner again, that was a big win over South Charleston, a tough loss tonight. That's a very difficult section, and part of why it's a difficult section is now because of Ripley being in it, not just because of South Charleston and Capital. So I know not the result you were looking for tonight, but still another opportunity next week, and we wish you guys the best of luck.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Evan Faulkner, head coach of the Ripley Vikings boys basketball team. Now we go back to the phone lines and our resident referee, who's been on hold for, waiting for it, 50 minutes on the dot.
Under an hour.
We got him in under an hour of short wait time for Bo Anderson tonight. Our resident referee joins us now on the program. And, Bo, it's good to have you back on another Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
Well, Joe, you and Billy are going to have to take over because that strong maid a while ago, I may have to throw Ryan out second week in a row.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
I did win the appeal of my suspension, so I was able to be here tonight. I didn't know I could actually appeal. Other coaches.
I didn't know we had a commissioner that you could appeal to.
Fred Dameron said I could, so that's all that matters. But that's what Fred's official title for the show is going to be from now on. By the way, the commissioner. But Bo, postseason obviously brings about another level of intensity, another a situation where coaches are going to agree or disagree, whatnot, but calls that are made, right, wrong, and different, can affect the outcome of seasons now for teams. So I know some people can get upset a little bit more with that. So things get a little more tighter from the scrutinizing point of view. Into the postseason now, my first question for you, and this is something that I saw in a game last night, is a defender who is on the floor, not in an injury situation, but is on the floor, and a player with the ball trips over said defender while driving to the basket in a normal movement to the basket. Is there a foul? Is there a call? Is there no call?
Well, there is obviously, the word judgment comes out. I mean, I would like to think, first I would really have to see the play, see if the, what exactly happened. But yes, probably 9 out of 10 times, there should be a whistle blown. Unfortunately, in this time of the year, all eyes are always glued on the officials when they make calls in the last seconds of the game. And I can, just tell you from my standpoint, we don't want to mess the game up. We don't want to miss a call. We don't want to have to, our judgment cost somebody when maybe it really didn't happen, or it did happen and we should have blown the whistle. People don't understand that nobody, really feels any worse about it than an official whenever after the game, maybe on a video, whether it's on the news or, they get a copy of the tape and they see that they have messed that play up, but, the defender on the floor, if the offense could, obviously avoid that, there's a multiple things that could happen, but probably most of the time we're going to have a foul on that defender, even though they're on the floor, if the offensive player falls over them.
Another question, and this goes into the 5 count in terms of closely guarded. And again, as we've talked about, it's a 6 foot, within 6 foot of the dribbler or a person with the ball. We'll put it that way because it doesn't have to be dribbling. And that 5 count is on. We know that the 5 count changes when the ball is dribbled from a non-dribbling to a dribbling point of view. That you reset the 5 count on the dribble. But is it, and I ask this because this is something that came up, but is it standard for the official to change arms on the count to show a new count, or can they just keep going in the same motion and reset the count in their head in terms of the number of times that they're moving the arm motion?
No, with every new count, the official should be changing hands. So, if you start out and the official started out counting with the right hand whenever the hold happened, and now they start a dribble and you still got a closely guarded count, it should be a left hand, followed by, if they pick it up, it should be a right hand. You change hands with every count that you have, just like out of bounds, coming inbounds, and then inbounds up the court with the 10 seconds. Every new count that you have, the official should be switching arms to show that that play is, the count has changed. You've got a new count of 5 going on, or from a 5 to a 10 second, just like coming across the court, 10 seconds, and then as soon as you step into the front court, you're being closely guarded, and now a 5-second count starts. The arms should change with every new count that you have.
Well, Bo, I've got to answer a question. On the issue of time on the clock in the Chapmanville-Scott game tonight, foul was called and foul shots were taken with 1/10 of a second on the clock. Now, the NBA rule and the college rule, I believe, is 3/10 of a second. If you get to underneath that, really you can't get a shot off. You can't get an attempt off. What's the high school rule, and how is that handled by the officials?
Same thing. On 3/10 of a second or less, it will have to be a tap or a tip. It cannot be a catch and shoot. And the NBA is the one that did and spent, lots of money to determine how long it actually takes for a player to catch and shoot as fast as they can. And the determination was that if it's more than 3/10, they can catch and shoot, but from 3/10 and less, it's got to be a tap or a tip.
Joe, you have anything that you've run across for Bo?
Not really. I just keep watching this play that was sent in to us that he described on the 5-second count. So, but I do like the idea of switching the hands, and that way that does give a clear count. So, but really no questions, Bo, other than comment. We miss you tonight.
Well, like I said, I started to run up. I didn't have anything. I started to run up to the studio tonight. I might do that next week possibly if there's an opportunity.
I've got him stirred up.
Anyway, I will tell. Billy C. wanted me to tell this story, and of course I don't name teams, but I had a game earlier in the year where the coach took a timeout, and it's going down to the last of the game, and he calls the timeout, has the ball on the sideline in his front court, going to set up a play, and so comes out of the timeout, and there's, all the players are on the floor. We've got 5-on-5, which we're most supposed to make sure we have, and the farthest player away from the ball was on my side to my left, and my partner puts the ball in play after we've checked everything's good, and turn around and they scored, and they only have 4 players on the floor. And the coach called timeout because the 5th player decided he needed a drink, and he was thirsty, and he went over to the water cooler and got him a drink. So that was a new play, which and that would refer to a little rule that could have happened if we would have realized that before the basket was scored. It is a violation to leave the court for an unauthorized reason, and that's definitely not an authorized reason to get a drink of water.
Bo Anderson.
I think that's rule H2O in the rule book.
Well, it's on page 1200 of the fans manual.
Our resident referee, Bo Anderson, we always appreciate him taking his time out to talk with us. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk with Gabby Lapardis, sophomore point guard of the Wyoming East Warriors and the #1 seed in the girls' AA state tournament. We'll also have Rick Kozlowski, and another scoreboard update comes a little bit later on. Our final one of the night. We're only a half hour to go here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's absolutely no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Don't forget the poll question. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Each week, we've got a new poll question just for you. It's another way you can interact with the show. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school voice. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big shout out to all of our new Twitter followers, including Brian Jones at CRJonesWV, William M. Richards at Lefty1972, Pusha C at Cole Lambert53, J. Mark Gladwell at MB Wildcat Hoops, Travis Martin, Haley Butcher, Ty at Tyler_242424, Jody Basil, R at Taxi431, WVHS Sports, S. Boggs at GuardGirl76, and Wayne Young. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. A big thank you to all of our Twitter followers giving us schedule updates, scores, and updates on their teams. Welcome to the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. You're part of the best basketball show in the Mountain State. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of BasketballNight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit BasketballNight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week too. And if your team has a reschedule, let us know about that too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
11:31 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, Bill Cornwell with you as we go down into the final half hour of the program with you until midnight. Wyoming East girls defeated Pikeview tonight 62-34 to clinch the #1 seed. Well, they found out after the game now that they are the #1 seed and will be playing #8 Tulsa in the opening round of the AA Girls State Tournament on Wednesday evening in the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. Gabby Lapardis is the point guard of the Warriors. She joins us now. And Gabby, first off, congratulations on getting your ball club back to Charleston.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
I know your team's 20-2 this year, and the 2 losses to Morgantown and to Summers County. You avenged that loss to Summers County, but also know that you've been slowed with an injury a little bit toward the latter portion of the season. How is that right now?
My ankle's a lot better. I'm not quite 100% yet, but I'm close. I get closer to it every day. I go to PT a lot. I've rehabbed almost every single day at Martin Rehab, and I wouldn't be able to be even close to where I was without them.
your ball club this year has beaten South Charleston by 7. You beat East Carter, Kentucky by 2. And I mentioned that game because I know a lot of people in West Virginia won't know. East Carter has a very strong point guard as well, one who is highly regarded just as you are. So a great matchup there. I know your schedule was a little bit more stringent this season. Just tell me about the rigors of playing that schedule.
Well, coming into the season, we knew it was going to be a harder schedule and that we had to lock down, and it was going to get us ready for states. And it definitely did. We grew together as a team throughout every game. And, it's good to have the easier games in between the harder games, but the harder games are definitely what matters the most to us.
Gabby, talking about your game tonight with Pikeview, one thing that stands out to mind, you guys started out hot on the defensive end, only giving up 5 points in the first half.
Yeah, that's what we focused on in practice, defense. I mean, if you play defense, we're always going to score.
Well, Gabby, your first-round matchup is with Tulsa, and I know that maybe not on the high school floor, may not be the two teams might not be familiar from that regard, but I know through the AAU circuit sometimes that some players run across each other. Dina Gerald is a freshman point guard at Tulsa who is having an outstanding season as well and reminds a lot of people of you from a year ago.
Yeah, I've played with Dina for about 2 to 3 years now, and she is a very good player, and I think it's going to be exciting to play against her.
Well, Gabby Lapardis, the point guard for Wyoming East. I know you were a freshman, and last year, so you're a sophomore this year. A young team a year ago got to Charleston, was the favorite, lost in the semifinal to Sissonville, and it was a great ball game, just did not go your way at the end. What did you learn from that experience?
We can't look past anybody, and now we don't. We take every game as it comes, and honestly, last year, we just did not play our game that game. And we let it affect us throughout the whole game. We can't let that happen anymore.
Well, Gabby, again, congratulations on getting back to the state tournament. Looking forward to watching you guys play next week and wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Gabby Lapardis, the sophomore point guard at Wyoming East. You know what amazes me on this program, and I go back, we had Shayna Gore on from Logan a few times her junior year and then her senior year, and she's in her freshman year at Marshall now. And we had Olivia Segi, who a couple times her junior year, a couple times her senior year, she's not WVU. And you notice the progression of when they get more comfortable talking with you on the radio and so forth. They get more used to being interviewed. And Gabby Lapardis, we had on the radio last year a couple times, and she was fine. She was just fine on the show. Yeah. You can tell she was much more relaxed there, though. And I think that's actually probably a little bit indicative of the way they play now. Not necessarily that this is new. I mean, they play high-level AAU, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just different in high school.
Well, the thing is about her, she is she's in the fast lane of her basketball future and her basketball life, and she's getting these exposures to good competition, and she's on a winning team, and they're very successful. So she's going along with the flow, and you can tell. You're right. She's very comfortable talking to us on the phone. She's good with the soundbite. She doesn't go on and on. She gives you a nice little concise comment.
And I'm sure the local media, ask her questions from time to time as well, and that just kind of works her way up to it, and you get comfortable with things like that. Yeah.
Probably the media there in Beckley probably would be the ones that cover her, and I'm sure she's been on camera a few times.
Right, and also, I mean, honestly, something that off the court, that goes well to your public speaking skills, which can help you a whole lot in college.
Maybe she's got speech class in high school.
Could be, Joe. You're right.
She may be replacing us in a few years. You just never know. But speaking of good sound bites, it's cause time, y'all. A little bit early tonight. From the Martinsburg Journal is Rick Kozlowski. He joins us now on the program. Rick, welcome to another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Oh, hey, guys. hang on a second.
Okay, I'm with you.
I need
We
to
were
get a
waiting.
glass of water. I need to get a glass of water.
I don't believe the H2O exception counts for you tonight. You're going to have to stick with us tonight. You can't leave the floor. Sorry. Bo will call a delay of game or something on you. Who knows? You'll get that in the mail from Bo Anderson, a delay of game warning. But nonetheless, hey,
let me say this first. I have to say, I always enjoy listening to Bo talk rules and situations, and that's probably because I'm a former official. I officiated for about 12 years, from college until basically I couldn't do it anymore. So I still watch carefully those aspects of the game. Like tonight, I kind of got a little annoyed when they called off a basket, and the public address announcer said goaltending. I'm like, no, that's not goaltending. That's basket interference. There's a difference. and there were a couple of people sitting next to me in the press box, and they're like, well, what's the difference? So I had to explain to them the difference between goaltending and basket interference, and they're like, oh, okay. But anyway, that's just a little aside. And like I said, I do enjoy listening to Bo.
Yeah, and we obviously enjoy that perspective. It's unique, and also a perspective for Martinsburg beating Musselman tonight, 62-55, to go to 20-4 on the season. The Bulldogs get a home game with Hampshire in the regional next week, and Bo. Musselman falls short tonight, but that's still a good outing for the Applemen.
Very good outing, especially since they kind of struggled. Not necessarily struggled in the first quarter, but they fell behind 18-7. Martinsburg came out hot and made 3 of its first 4 shots, all of them 3-pointers, and had 4 3-pointers in the first quarter, and basically kept a 10, 11, and even a 12-point lead through much of the next 2 quarters, and then into the fourth, and then they started coming back and made it an exciting game. They were within 4 points with 30 seconds left, and Martinsburg was able to clinch it. A couple free throws from Josiah Villa, who had 27 points, and one by Devontae Redmond. But very good game, exciting game, and at times I wondered, though, it's like, okay, there seems to be a bit of stress off in playing the game. And, knowing that, yes, this is a championship game, but we still got to play next week. If we lose, we get to play next week. If we win, we get to play next week. So I don't know how that factors in a lot of tournaments, but it just seemed like there was, maybe not kind of edge that you'd expect from a championship game. You guys know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings me to my next question for you. And we've probably talked about this in the past couple of years at some point, but your thoughts, this goes in with what our poll question was for the week. Is the format okay, or is it still needing some tweaking for the postseason in West Virginia?
Well, I think probably the ideal kind of system would be like football. One plays 29, 2 plays 28, or whatever the case may be. But you can't send people all over the state during the school year. I mean, there's places in the state where you might play a game like that where you're 8 hours apart. The kids are still in school first. That's this is an extracurricular activity, basketball. So, I don't know. I think sometimes what gets lost in the whole thing is people talk about state tournament. Talk about the 8 teams in each of the classes in Charleston. But isn't the sectionals and the regionals part of the state tournament? Because those are the games you have to win to get to Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston's the end of the road of the state tournament, more or less, not its own tournament.
Yeah, but so often, when you hear people refer to the state tournament, they talk about just the Charleston part.
I think that's absolutely
that's a good thought. Never really thought about it that way, but that is true. I mean, you got to get through your sections, regionals, and of course advance on to Charleston.
And because you were talking about some of this travel, Musselman's going to be facing that next week, having to go all the way to Weston, and Ryan actually roughed it out here. How was the distance there, Ryan?
216 miles, 3 hours 17 minutes, in optimal traffic with a car
on a Tuesday night.
Yes, and I know somebody else is going to be making that trip on Tuesday as well.
Uh-oh.
Better start leaving now.
Pack your bag.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that, though, because I was talking to one of the assistant coaches from Musselman, and he says we're thinking about going up there Monday. Which I guess if your athletic budget allows you to do that, I think that's a lot simpler than getting up early on a Tuesday morning, driving 3 hours and 17 minutes, or probably 4 hours on a bus, and that's not counting stops. And then it takes a little bit to kind of recondition your legs when you've been in a vehicle for a long time, and so I think that's a workable idea. Meanwhile, we don't have to worry about this next year under the new realignment. Everything in AAA is over here in the Panhandle.
That's because you run out of teams.
But we got one. Well,
he's lost for words.
Well, I'm not saying that in a good or bad way. It's just there are so many fewer teams in AAA next year.
Yeah, and I have always been in favor of a more balanced school population situation than what typically has been an even split among the classes, like 40, 40, 40, or whatever the number happens to be. And when you look at, in the past, some of the lower-end AAA schools were closer in school population to the lower-end AA schools than they were to the top AAA school. So I like the fact that they've balanced it more on school populations as opposed to a straight cut among classes. I know it's going to make it a little more difficult for AA and single A teams because there's more teams competing, but I think the equality is going to make for better opportunities.
Hey, Rick, do you think West Virginia is the number of schools we have? Do you think it's a valid thought to go to 4 classes to kind of even it up even more?
I don't think there's enough schools to do that, which I guess has kind of been the thing people have talked about in the past. But I've kind of not recently, a few years ago, I kind of looked at that and kind of broke it down. And again, like I said, I'm a big proponent of schools of equal size. And when I did the math and everything else, you still had a fairly large A and AA class, AAA a little bit bigger, and then a 4A with like 8 schools.
Right. No,
do we want an 8-school classification in the state?
Well, that's a valid point, and I think there would be some who would say yes.
Why not?
But I also understand why that would sort of I don't want to say devalue, but it would change the dynamics of basically every state tournament event and every classification, the way things are done. So I think there are obviously valid points to be made for that. Maybe we can discuss that more in depth at another time. Rick, we gotta let you go. We always appreciate you taking time to talk with us.
Hey guys, have a great weekend.
All right, hey, enjoy Weston.
I hear it's spooky out there.
Hey, they got a good restaurant row on US 33, so there you go.
Of course, I'll go out there and just make it even more scary, right?
Yeah, they don't know what's coming Tuesday just yet. We'll let them find out themselves. Hey, that's Rick Kozlowski, Martinsburg Journal. Definitely always appreciate talking with him. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll come back We'll get you a final scoreboard update. We'll get you the entire girls basketball state tournament schedule, and we'll wrap things up from Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. A special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations including 94 Rock, WRLF Fairmont, Talk 92.5, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRCLP Spencer, 104.5 FM WASPLP Huntington, 97.9 FM WSPWLP Parkersburg, 101.1 FM WVWP Wayne, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. If you think you missed something on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, you can now go to the Apple iTunes Store and download the podcast. You can find us by searching Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia in the iTunes Store. Subscribing is simple and completely free. Podcasts are also available directly on basketballnight.com. Check it out and you can listen and watch all the past shows. Go to basketballnight.com.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
It's 11:50 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, and Bill Cornwell. Happy to have you along. We've got just about 7.5 minutes of program left, so we've got to knock some things out here in a hurry. Let's get our final check of the scoreboard. Looking for scores, look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. We had every score by 9 o'clock tonight. Yeah. Unbelievable.
New record, probably.
Girls basketball regionals that were postponed from last night. Class AA, Region 3, Section 1. Actually, it's Region 3 Co-Championship. It was Wyoming East defeating Pikeview 62-34. The Region 4 Co-Championship, Tulsa defeats Poca 63-37. We'll have the complete girls basketball rundown for the state tournament in just a moment. Bill has the AAA boys sectional finals tonight.
Yeah, we'll get through this real quick. Won't worry about identifying regions and sections, but here were your winners tonight in AAA. Parkersburg South beat Parkersburg, Morgantown over University. It was Martinsburg knocking off Musselman. Hampshire falls to Lewis County. Capital beat Ripley. Hurricane winners over Winfield. Logan loses to Huntington tomorrow. One more AAA sectional game. Woodrow Wilson Greenbrier playing in Beckley.
In Class AA, it was Fairmont Senior over East Fairmont, 89-46. Ravenswood over Webster County, 57-40. It was Kaiser over Frankfort, 57-56. Bridgeport over Robert C. Byrd, 53-51. Poca over Sissonville, 66-39. It was Chapmanville over the Scott Skyhawks, 38-36. One game tomorrow between Wyoming East and Westside, and one game decided on Wednesday. It was Pikeview over Bluefield, 49-40.
Class A tonight, Region 1, it was Magnolia 78, Wheeling Central 74. Region 2, it was Pendleton County 61. Pocahontas County 57. Region 3, Tug Valley beats Van 57-32. Fayetteville beats Midland Trail 74-54. And in Region 4 tonight, Parkersburg Catholic beats Doddridge County 57-50. That is your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. What sticks out for me, guys, in Class A, real fast before we go to the girls' state tournament, was Preston Boswell, 54 points tonight for Magnolia. He lived up to the billing, and everyone knew it because Magnolia and Williamson Central play like 14 times, it feels like, over the past 3 years. And he
was talking about how many free throws he missed as well, so he could have easily had a 60-point night.
Yeah, make some free throws. Come on.
Boswell Harler shootout tonight, though, 54 versus 41 for Chase Harler.
We'll go over the complete girls tournament sectional or state tournament schedule in just a moment. But first, Marcus has our poll question.
First, we'll go to last week's poll question. 101 voters cast their vote. In general, what do you think of the current high school basketball sectional, regional, and state postseason format? 59 people, that's 58% of voters, say they like it the way it is right now, and 42% of voters say they don't like it and they want it changed. Now on to this week's poll question. It's live right now at basketballnight.com. Where should sectional tournaments take place? Right now they take place wherever each section wants them to, either a neutral site or at the highest seed. So where should sectional tournaments take place? At a neutral site, at the highest seed, or should they continue letting each section decide where they want to be? That poll's live right now at basketballnight.com. You've got until next Friday at 11:45 to cast your vote.
I asked that question for two purposes. I want to explain this. I was at an on-campus facility last night. We've talked about it tonight. Some of them kind of get overwhelmed a little bit. Last night held the crowd all right, but only seating on one side. That's the way that gymnasium is built. And that was for a regional game, but that section that team came from had played at host sites for its sectional. So you had some big crowds that way. Some of them can be overwhelming. Also went to a sectional a week ago that was at a neutral site that saw two teams played for the third time, and it was the smallest crowd they'd played in front of because each had to travel an hour to play in the sectional when they were just about 35 minutes apart from each other.
In Class AA Region 4, Section 2, they play at Logan. And, the two semifinal games played back-to-back, which was a great venue. So, there's a lot of points to
the building can handle it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I said, and for boys, they pack it out. I mean, it almost has to be there for the boys. But for the girls, it felt too big. And that's just a thought. Girls State Tournament schedules, and we'll turn it over to Bill Cornwell for this one.
Well, let's start in Class AA. Of course, this was all set tonight. Fairmont Senior will be taking on North Marion 9:30 Wednesday to start the tournament. This is 3 versus 6 seed. The 2-7 game 1 o'clock Wednesday. Lincoln and Grafton. The 1 versus 8 in AA 5:30 Wednesday. Wyoming East and Tulsa. And then 4-5 game, 9 o'clock Wednesday, ending the first day of the tournament, Sissonville and Summers County. Going to Class A, 9:30 Thursday morning, starting the second day of the tournament. Number 3, Tucker County takes on number 6, Clarksburg, Notre Dame. These two teams played a couple of times already this season. 1 o'clock game Thursday in Single A. Number 2 seed Gilbert County takes on number 7, Fayetteville. And the 5:30 Thursday game in Single A, the number 1 St. Joe Irish going for yet another state championship. They take on the 8 seed Richwood. And then the 9 o'clock Thursday game, it's number 4 St. Mary's, number 5 Weirton Madonna. In Class AAA, 7:15 Wednesday, number 1 seed Morgantown takes on the number 8 seed Spring Valley. 11:15 Thursday, number 4 seed Parkersburg South, number 5 seed Martinsburg. 11:15 Wednesday, number 2 seed Huntington Highlanders take on number 7 Buchanan Upshur. And then at 7:15 Thursday, two teams very familiar with each other. Number 3 seed South Charleston, number 6 seed George Washington. And South Charleston won both of their matchups this year.
Real fast, Bill or Joe, I'll see if either one of you catch this. Who is missing from the girls' Class A state tournament this year? Wheeling Central, for the first time since 2002, did not qualify for the girls' state tournament. They were actually beaten in the sectional semifinal by Madonna. That was something that slipped past me last week, and I apologize for that. And I just missed it. And I caught that after the show. Felt bad about it. Wanted to make sure that we got that tonight.
And you remember all those years when before St. Joe started dominating single A, it was Central that was dominating.
Absolutely. So the girls' state tournament set for Charleston, a week full of action. Feels like a full week, but it's actually only about 4 days or 5. But it gets underway it's only 4 days, right? It gets underway Wednesday morning, and the boys' state tournament. Well, we will know by next Friday night who is in it and who those matchups are. For Fred Dameron and everyone involved at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, Joe Linville, Bill Cornwell, the crew in the back, I'm Ryan Epling. We'll be back with you next Friday night as tournament action begins in West Virginia.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit basketballnight.com for our show archives, the poll question of the week, and the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2016, all rights reserved.